You're watching America's Day at the Races on FS2, brought to you by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. The Floral Park train station, a staple, maybe if you're visiting Belmont Park or in the area, enjoying some of the great restaurants and fun things to do in Floral Park, as we have the Floral Park coming up as our next race on the program. We are coming to you live from Aqueduct Racetrack in South Ozone Park as the Belmont at the Big A meet continues. It's Saturday, so naturally, it's raining. Thanks for joining us today. We'll try to give you the best information possible given the weather. Acacia come on alongside Andy Sterling. Andy just announced that the Floral Park, one of two carded stakes today, a turf sprint off the turf. So unfortunately, that does dramatically change things. It's frustrating for all of us, and we'll try to plow through with the horses that remain in.
And it's certainly frustrating for players as well. Now, obviously, in pick fours and pick fives, it becomes an all race. You don't get punished in that regard, but you wanted to play it. The one thing I would say, and listen, taking it off as late as we did, it's a frustration for players, and I absolutely understand why it is a frustration, and I'm sorry that it's worked out this way. Yeah. But judging by, and this is going to be in the outer turf, but judging by watching the Sands Point, the second race, half the field could not handle the going at all. It's really rained even harder than it was supposed to, and the truth is, this race was going to be a crapshoot, and you may just have had a horse in here that could not handle the turf whatsoever. So I don't like the situation. I don't like the way it went down, and I understand people's frustration. But in a grander scheme of things, you're better off having this race and all in them because your horse might have been the best horse in the race and just could not handle the going.
We'll see who can handle the main track in here today as we take a look at the horses remaining in. Again, just announced that the Floral Park was off the turf, so the main track only runners were scratched earlier today. So we are with a field of 4, making Scottish Star, who will now try to navigate the 6 furlongs on the main track, a very short price as she started off her career out in California, Andy, running behind the likes of CC and running well, sprinting on the main track.
Yeah, CC only won a Breeders' Cup,
right.
I think, right? And the reality of looking at Scottish Star is, I think it's fair to ask the question to Todd Bletcher, why are you so convinced this horse is really a turf horse and a turf router? Because her dirt races are really every bit as good as her turf races. I mean, I'm not comparing her to the Great Cigar, but it's almost like the Cigar situation when they switched him to the turf. He had run fast races in his 2 original dirt races, and she's run well on the dirt. Now, she's run okay on the turf, too, but I wonder a little bit if this isn't the right move for Todd, and it kind of opens up different avenues if she runs well here. You look at a race like the Go for Juan that we run around the Cigar Mile. Are we so sure she can't be competitive in those kind of races?
Especially with potentially looking forward to some of the races as the weather gets colder up here at Aqueduct with all of the rain that we've had in the forecast recently. It's nice if you have a horse that could be a little bit versatile. You can join NYRA Bets today and play all of the action on our program and more while earning up to a $200 deposit match bonus. Sign up with promo code MATCH200 and you could earn up to a $200 deposit match after your first deposit. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Join now at nyrabets.com for your $200 deposit match. She's always out there toughing out the elements, whatever they may be. Maggie Wolfendale is with us for this off-the-turf Floral Park. Hey, Maggie.
Hey, Acacia. I am impervious to the weather, no problem to me, but I do feel badly for Connections with this race taken off the turf only about 45 minutes ago. As we'll start with the heavy favorite, that is Scottish Star. She kind of feels like the class of the field and the one that does have some dirt races to lean on and into a bit, having been graded stakes placed out in California. Now she's going to tackle a wet track for the first time, but I actually don't see anything prohibiting her from taking to it kindly. I did note that last time she had lightened up quite a bit. She just looks a lot more streamlined than what she did when she first started running here on this coast. And if anything, I think that helps her chances with dealing with this wet track. You don't want a bigger, heavier horse that kind of will get bogged down and mired in it. So she was a little obstreperous to get the tack on, but that was just a blip. She's very settled here. And I suppose, very much the horse to beat, though I do find that number 8, Salvaje, is a little bit intriguing given her pedigree. The dam was a stakes winner sprinting on the dirt, and all the siblings, other 3 siblings, to try the dirt have been successful on it. And while it's not the most positive thing when you look at her sales and auction record, in that she sold as a 2-year-old for $220,000, but picked up most recently by her now connections for only $52,000. So just a fraction of that original cost. But then again, maybe this is an opportunistic placing for her, because she looks more turf mint, but she doesn't look overly turf mint. She comes in here looking fit and strong off the back of a layoff dating back to May. She, as the board would suggest, Acacia, is a viable alternative if you're not into taking 2 to 5 on Scottish Star.
We'll see how she handles it. Maggie, thank you. The blinker's going on for the new connections who did purchase her, as Maggie was touching on, at the Horses of Racing Age sale for $52,000. And that was after a disappointing effort. Kentucky Derby weekend, in fact, behind Caravel. And prior to that, Andy, she'd run some decent races sprinting on the turf, but maybe she's still trying to find her best foot so far.
Well, I mean, let's ignore Scottish Star for a moment, who's obviously the way horse to beat.
Right.
1 to 2, to be honest, is probably more than fair on her in this spot, because she really does feel like she's over 70% to win this race. Having said that, the smartest guy in New York today might be Eddie DeLauro for running risk-free in this race, because who knows what would have happened. She's actually handled turf. She obviously wasn't good enough to be competitive, but he knew they were probably going to get softer turf to begin with, which makes it more random. And if it comes off, who's going to be left in here? And now with it coming off so late, I'm not sure that Risk Free doesn't have a very good chance to be second in this race, which isn't so bad. We're $25,000 for a maiden that's made already $250,000 or $230,000. And I agree with Salvaje with what Maggie's saying. Listen, she might run last in here. She might not be able to handle it all, but I don't think it's the worst idea to leave her in here.
Yeah.
I'll put it this way. She has a better chance to get a big piece of this race on the dirt now than she did had this race stayed on the turf.
Absolutely. A very good point for sure. She's 72, and there is Risk Free with jockey Jose Gomez getting a leg up. She is still a maiden at 0 for 18, with 9 seconds and 5/3, but quite a good amount of earnings, as you touched on. And look, she was beaten just ahead last time out. She's run good races on wet tracks, on fast tracks. She kind of handles no matter what is put in front of her.
She's really the Scherzando of the dirt.
Yes.
A horse that continuously runs races good enough to win, that seems to have an incredible aversion to getting to the wire first, but meanwhile earns checks. I mean, to think about, Risk Free has made $164,000 in 2023, and she's a maiden. Not bad.
No, it's the types of horses we affectionately call an ATM machine.
And she shows up every time and runs a race. That's the remarkable thing about her.
Meet the field for the off-the-turf Floral Park, starting with your heavy favorite, Scottish Star.
I mean, she benefits from the race coming off a great deal, and she is legitimately 2 to 5 to win this.
Here's Shoshana. I know you like the name.
I do. Same name as my niece, actually, different spelling. The worry about this horse, she has a lot of speed, but her only dirt race, she didn't make the lead. It's the worst race she ever ran.
Risk Free went by.
Well, we have nothing but love for Risk Free, and horses like Risk Free.
She's very honest, that's for sure. And Salvaje, the new face on this circuit.
Yeah, I mean, she's the wild card in this race. She's just the wild card, and I mean, I wouldn't bet her. But I think that she's the right horse to leave in this spot. If she were mine, I would have left her in as well.
Especially off of a layoff as well. You don't know, maybe she might need a race or whatever the case could be. And we'll see, maybe she can handle the main track as well. 2 to 5, though, short price on Scottish Star. I saw her a couple times down at Tampa, and kind of similar to what Maggie was saying, she's actually really bad to get the tack on both times. One time actually really acting up very badly in the saddling stall. So she can be a little bit of a quirky type as far as saddling does go, but getting that big Kendrick Carmouche warm-up, and Kendrick, who has been riding in top form throughout this meet.
I agree. I mean, he's riding the turf very well. He's making the right decisions. almost all the time. That's all you can ask for a rider, right? To be making the right decisions. And, I mean, Scottish Star's a neat horse, right? She can go long, she can go short, she can run on dirt, she can run on turf. There aren't a lot of horses like this. I'm not saying she's the top of it, but she runs at a very high level on all surfaces.
She does indeed. Second in the Hillsborough, going 1 1/8 miles. And then last time out, we had a wire-to-wire winner going 5.5 furlongs. So we like that versatility. Kendrick with 16 wins, tied in third as far as the Belmont at the Big A jockey standings do go, tied with Jose Ortiz and Rad Ortiz, 4 ahead of them. Manny Franco with another good meet as well. We saw Dylan Davis with a 4-win day yesterday. A lot of guys that have really cut their teeth here in New York, made New York home, and maybe not always getting the top mounts, but making the most of those opportunities.
And given, and I'm assuming this will be the Belmont the Big A meet, which goes for 2 more weeks,
Right.
and given that Jose and Irad Ortiz will be spending some days here and there at Keeneland, Manny and Kendrick are probably the favorites to win the title here.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, Irad's going to win a lot of races, even if he's here, 3 of the 4 days or 2 of the 4 days a week. But those guys win a lot of races as well. And I think Kendrick, I mean, they're all good riders. Kendrick has really been riding well. He's been very plugged in, and he and his agent, Jimmy Riccio, doing a great job together.
He's on the 1-5 favorite here with Scottish Star. For more on the warm-ups, let's go back down to Maggie.
And not to mention, probably, I speak collectively for all of us, Acacia and Andy, probably our favorite interview, too. I mean, he just makes our job very, very easy, as I do think Manny Franco could be odds on for winning the winter meet title with the support that he's gotten from a top barn like Chad Brown. But watching these warm-up, Scottish Star, boy, she warmed up beautifully over this wet surface. So while I don't love picking, this type of horse, she just really cemented it for me watching the warm-ups as the track is very wet. But we've seen in our 3 previous races, or 2, I should say, on the dirt, that it does seem really fair out there, but it's taken a lot of water as it has continuously been downgraded and now listed as sloppy. But I do want to mention number 4 in here, kind of interesting. Kyle Horlacher is the co-owner, breeder, and looks to be his lone horse as he trains her down at Fair Hill. Now, she is your typical turf sprinter. I mean, she's short, stout, really round filly. I mean, everything about her, from her shoulder to her barrel to her hip, it's just all round and short coupled. And she's the type that I was talking about might get a little bogged down in the going. She's not that lightly framed. So we'll see how they handle her today. Katie Davis will get the call, but I just think it's cool for somebody represented by just one horse to take a shot, and that's what her trainer, owner, breeder is doing here, Acacia.
A filly by Wigilia, Pennsylvania bred. Maggie, thank you. And pretty cool when you get a chance to see a small barn. Like Maggie said, looks like this is his only horse, as far as what I could tell as well. And this is one who's been very good to him as well. Quite versatile, running on synthetic and on turf, and being the breeder too, and Pennsylvania bred. I'm sure he's very grateful that she's so talented.
No, she's a really nice horse, and she has a lot of speed, and they can take a shot. And listen, the one thing is, with the dirt race, she didn't make the lead that day.
Right.
Now, is it possible? I didn't watch the race. She didn't get out or something. If she makes the lead today, it makes her a little bit dangerous. She's kind of an unknown here. I'm not surprised she's the longest shot on the board, but she is the speed, theoretically.
She's got quite a bit of speed. That lone dirt race, as mentioned, was back in July of last year over at Penn against fellow Pennsylvania breds, and was tracking inside. We'll see what she does getting onto the main track for the first time in a while. Short price favorite, though, is the number 2 Scottish Star. We're off the turf for the Floral Park, off the turf throughout the remainder of the card as well. Loading in for the Floral Park, Chris Griffin here this weekend to call the races, and he has the call coming up next.
Goes forward. All set for the Floral Park. And they're off. Step slow for Risk Free, who's the early trailer. Speed from Shoshana right out to the front. It's Shoshana and Salvaje, and they throw it down early. Shoshana to the inside of Salvaje, and these two speed off together. Scottish Star has moved towards the outside, is now in the 3 path, is going to stalk these 2 pace setters, and the early trailer is Risk Free. Shoshana has got company to the outside from Salvaje, but is a neck in front with less than a half mile to go. 22 seconds flat for that opening quarter mile. Salvaje is moving up back on the outside here of Shoshana. Now these two head and head. Here's Scottish Star just off of them, is getting closer, is now within 2.5 of the lead, and Risk Free is launching a rally from the back. They're going to be tightly bunched here as they approach a quarter mile left to go. To the inside it's Shoshana, to the outside it's Salvaje, and here comes the presence of Scottish Star on the grandstand side, and also Risk Free is looking to split rivals. 4 across the racetrack here in a final furlong in the Floral Park. Risk Free to the inside, Scottish Star to the outside. It's Risk Free who's game, but Scottish Star is best right now. Scottish Star is up by 3/4 of a length. Risk Free is alone in second. It is going to be Scottish Star and Kendrick Carmouche. They win the Floral Park. Scottish Star over Risk Free, Salvaje, and Shoshana. Final running time, 1 minute 11 and 1.
Your favorite Scottish Star gets the job done in the Floral Park. And how about Risk Free, Andy? She shows up and runs through a competition, finishing second as a maiden.
I mean, she wasn't second by 7 lengths. She actually was second, beaten about a length and 3/4 here. Scottish Star, she found the right spot with it coming off the turf. The other 2 horses showed speed. They dueled. They're not dirt horses. Their connections took a chance, but Scottish Star, right place, the right time, staying in there, getting it. And congrats to Eddie DeLuro for taking a shot with Risk Free and getting second. $25,000, not a bad payday. And she gets her earnings up over $250,000 and has now made almost $200,000 this year.
Pretty amazing.
$190,000.
And still a maiden as well, coming between horses with a nice effort, but cruising on the outside as the pace setters were fading was your favorite Scottish Star. We did see Shoshana and Salvaje show speed. Like you said, they're not dirt horses. It ended up being 2-6-8-4, but the top 2 who had handled the main track way ahead of the others.
I really, looking at it, don't understand why Bubble Rock scratched out this race.
Yeah.
She actually ran well in her one dirt race, going way too far at 1:16. She should have stayed in. She might have won.
Scottish Star gets the win, though. She was the beneficiary with the victory. Kendrick Carmouche in the saddle. More America's Day at the Races when we come back. Stay with us on FS2.
A Grade 1 winner on both dirt and turf, War of Will became a classic winner with this victory in the Preakness Stakes. He added turf credentials to his resume with a determined victory in the Grade 1 Maker's Mark Mile. Now his progeny are bringing top dollar in the sales ring.
650,000.
Jesse, 375,000. AC, 335,000.
A dual surface classic winning son of Warfront, War of Will, standing at Claiborne Farm.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
world's premier breeding stock event, the November sale at Fasig-Tipton. A Breeders' Cup winner and Eclipse champion, Goodnight Olive is one of the top sprinters of her generation.
It is Goodnight Olive by 3 lengths.
During a 7-race win streak, she earned Grade 1 victories in both the Ballerina and the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint, besting champions Echo Zulu and Cece, en route to the Eclipse Award as champion female sprinter. This year, she won the Grade 1 Madison over Grade 1 Society, as well as the Grade 2 Bed of Roses, bringing her earnings to nearly $1.7 million for trainer Chad Brown and owners First Row Partners and Team Hanley.
Goodnight Olive by a head.
She is by Horse of the Year Ghost Zapper, broodmare sire of 35 stakes winners, including Triple Crown winner Justify and champion sprinter Dreyfall. She is out of the multiple Grade 3 winner Salty Strike. Eclipse champion and Breeders' Cup winner Goodnight Olive, selling this November with Elite Agent.
Welcome back as we see the beautiful shot at the Centennial Gardens Bridge in Floral Park. Isn't that pretty?
That is nice.
I know.
Not quite Giverny. Is it Giverny? Is that how you pronounce it?
Oh, I don't know.
The place in Monet where he
I know,
water
I
lily.
don't know.
Come on, Acacia, it's France.
Keep on me, I would guess.
I'm telling your in-laws.
I don't know. Our Winner's Circle lead-in is brought to you by the Fasig-Tipton November Sale, the world's premier breeding stock event. Nominate now to the sale where stars are sold as Scottish Star heads into the Winner's Circle in the off-the-turf Floral Park with some of those good races she ran back in 2021 out in California on the main track. She definitely seemed to make a lot of sense as far as one who could handle the dirt today, and that's exactly what she did.
She did. I mean, she got the right trip, right field. She beat the maiden risk-free.
Let's head down to Maggie.
Here with Kendrick Carmouche, winning rider aboard Scottish Star. And Kendrick, you kind of had to niggle at her a little bit, but in the end, class totally prevailed.
Yeah, you know, she coming off the grass, I mean, in the slop, you know, maybe it's the second or third time she ever run in it, but she was the best horse in the race. I had to just make sure I stay clear and keep out of trouble and just be successful at the end of the day.
And Kendrick, we'll see you well represented the next, looking to win another one for Cherie DeVoe, a first-time starter Purloin. Coming up, as we were just talking about the Arrogates off the turf here, she looks as though she could be bred for this surface change.
Yeah, and I like that she's a gray horse too, you know, so, you know, that kind of helps on a sloppy track and it's raining, you know, the little superstitions everybody got, you know. But, you know, she put me on a good one yesterday. Hopefully she put me on another good one today and move forward, and let's keep doing good business together. I mean, let's get it on.
Kendrick, you're not the only rider in your family. Your daughter, Olivia, very accomplished hunter jumper, took her first horse to the Retired Racehorse Project down in Lexington. It looks as though her and your wife, Whitney, had a great time. Talk a little bit about her deciding to get that project horse in Vinny.
Well, you know, my wife is the coach at University of Delaware, so, you know, my daughter came up, both sides of us riding, and, you know, she loved the horses. She's a great rider. She does better when she rides someone else's horse and not just her own, you know. She kind of got like that jockey in her, but, you know, but she rides amazing. This summer we had a bag go this year with Mr. Mims. You know, we bring him to Saratoga because we want to show him in Saratoga to get him used to the surroundings. He come up with a chip in his knee. We done the surgery. Thank God for the doctors over there. They done a stand-up surgery. Came out 2 months later. We had RRP. She finished 4th. She doing it with her mom, which is amazing. You know, her mom get to live her dream through Olivia, and I think that's a lot of fun, you know, and knowing that I'm out here working hard to make sure to support the family where they can keep doing what they love. You know, this is what it's about, you know. I love it. It just puts a smile on my face. I would love to cry now, but I gotta save my energy. I got 8 more to go.
You got me a little teary-eyed yourself. Congratulations with this win here, and congrats to Liv as well.
Thank you very much. The boot is in the house, baby, Louisiana.
See, he changed it. I knew he was going to change it, but they all support the Retired Racehorses. It's good to see the Carmouche family doing just that, Acacia.
It's so awesome, Megan. Love having the opportunity to follow the Retired Racehorse Project, the Red Makeover that's been going on this week, as Kendrick touched on RRP. And it's so cool to see horses that we knew and loved on the racetrack being successful in their second careers. But Scottish Star, Andy, she's being successful right now in her current career on the racetrack, winning the off-the-turf Floral Park. We did have 2 stakes on the card, though, today, and we were able to run the first one in the Sands Point as race 2 on the grass a little bit earlier. As you touched on, Andy, some of the horses clearly were not handling the cut in the ground. However, Eternal Hope, who had run on soft ground over in France, definitely seemed to handle it just fine, winning back-to-back races here stateside.
And the first, second, fifth place finishers came back in the from Jock Club Oaks, and they came back to run 1, 2, 3, basically the order they ran last time, and they handled it, and so many of them just didn't handle it, particularly Be Your Best.
Yeah,
She's had a very unlucky 2023, but Godolphin and Charlie Appleby, they have found the good, right races here in New York, or really in North America over the last few years. Not as prolific in as far as winning this year as the previous 2 years, but won the stake at Keeneland yesterday, and she got it done today over a pretty cool horse in Nisi Marie.
Nisi Marie, a horse who broke her maiden for $25,000, stepped up in some Pennsylvania bred races, second in the Jockey Club Oaks last time out, and now second in the Sands Point as well.
And Caroline Thomas, she was not Caroline Thomas. The dam is Caroline Thomas, right?
Thomas for Highland Grace, yes.
She was making a real run. I wonder if she bogged down a little bit in the inside.
Well, she was last early, too.
But she also coming up the inside. The first 2 were so far out in the track. Don't know, but she got it done. Congrats to Connections. But they were really kicking. I was surprised. I don't know about you. I was surprised how much they were kicking up the first turn. Didn't know if we had gotten that much rain.
Took quite a bit of rain.
Obviously, we had.
Some horses, like Be Your Best, as you mentioned, kind of spinning their wheels on the softer turf, so ones to watch moving forward. Coming up a little bit later on today, though, we'll take a look at what we still have to look forward to. Race number 9 today, when we will be back on Fox a little bit later on at 4:40. This one sprinting 6 furlongs on the main track, and we'll see if Strobe can get back on track. This is a horse, Andy, who had shown so much promise, ran very well behind Skelly and the Count Fleet, behind Elite Power and the True North, coming off of a couple of disappointing efforts, though.
Yeah, you like him more than I do. I think you and I, this is one race where you and I have very sort of different opinions in here. I think with Durante in here, he's going to have to deal with some speed, and I know he's faced some better horses. I don't love his recent form. I'm going to try Provocateur in this race, but this is a good race. You know, obviously the weather has done a lot to spoil our racing over the last month, to say the least, but this race in particular actually is a strong race, an original dirt race. I thought the 8th and 9th are both very interesting races.
Yeah, looking forward to those for sure, and we'll see if Strobe can get back on track. We will be taking a quick break on Fox. America's Day at the Races will continue being live streamed you watch on Naira Bets on the Naira YouTube channel as well, and we'll be back on FS2 at 4:40 p.m. So come and join us then, but for now we will continue on. Hope you'll stay with us on America's Day at the Races on YouTube. It was Scottish Star in today's Off the Turf Floral Park. We'll see what's next for the versatile filly, or 6-year-old mare now, who picks up another win, the 4th of her career. We'll be back at 4:40 p.m. on FS2. America's Day at the Races continues, though, after this.
Speightstown, Munning, Echo Town.
It's Echo Town for Joe Talamo, and Echo Town raced away, and Echo Town is drawing away in the stretch. Echo Town wins the Allen Jerkin Stakes.
A sire line so prolific it repeats itself. Echo Town.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings right from your phone with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
Number 1 is Mo Donegal by Uncle Mo. And they're off in the Remsen. As they come on for the finish, and it's going to be tight here in the Remsen. Mo Donegal. Mo Donegal bearing down on the outside. It's Mo Donegal and early voting, and it is Mo Donegal to win the Wood Memorial. And it will be Mo Donegal to win the Test of the Champion, the Belmont Stakes.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
Gainesway encompasses 1,500 acres of the finest bluegrass land in Kentucky. The property includes the former Green Tree Stud in Whitney Farm and is home to Tapit. Tapit has emerged as one of the most influential and breed-shaping stallions of the past half-century.
Well, Tapit has been an absolutely amazing horse for us, probably the best horse that's ever been at Gainesway for over 100 years. He's made us look really good at Gainesway.
Tapit's shoulders are broad. He's really taken Gainesway to a new level. He's just made us appreciate what a horse like him can do for the farm.
He's produced incredible runners year after year after year. You had Flightline, who's one of the best horses I've ever seen in my whole life.
It is Flightline. It is spine-tingling, jaw-dropping, awe-inspiring, Secretariat-like Breeders' Cup Classic win.
We're happy that he's still going strong, but it just reminds us that we'd love to find a horse remotely as good to fill his shoes. And this is Mr. Beck's goal, to increase our chances at that and bring more horses into syndicate structure.
Gainesway roster's a young, up-and-coming roster. Clearly we have Tapit as the anchor, but we've got Olympiad, Drain the Clock as new horses. We've got McKenzie, Spun to Run, Raging Bull, all have weanlings or yearlings still. It's a young roster with full of possibilities.
I'm so happy we took a shot on McKenzie. He's rewarded our faith in him so far. He's bred full books for 3 years at stud, which is kind of rare these days. And his first crop of weanlings were very well accepted at the sales. We think he's got a big shot. We're really excited to see what he's going to do.
Gainesway strives for excellence, both on the racetrack and in the sales ring. Its general manager, Brian Graves, grew up around promising thoroughbreds. Brian's father, Bill, longtime Fasig-Tipton vice president, introduced him to the game.
I think our success with Fasig-Tipton was grown organically. So when I came to Gainesway in my early 20s, one of my driving desires was to create a consignment business. And so naturally, my father and I would work together. And I discovered the magic of Saratoga during those early years and what kind of horse can thrive there.
Now that's what the Tapits is supposed to look like, just like his dad, who of course is the leading sire in North America and has held that position pretty much since his first full crop hit the racetrack.
Gainesway's always tried to focus on quality, whether it be our sale consignments or the stallions we bring in. It's Mr. Beck's idea that we should focus on quality, and we try to help our clients achieve as much success as possible, and I get a big kick out of that.
My favorite race is Cigar Mile 2020 True Timber. I know how much my horse loves the sloppy track. I got outside position, you got speed horses, and you the horse that can sit right behind them. Jack Stinson, he texted me that morning, Kendrick, what do you think? I said, don't worry about it, brother, I got you. My horse break good. I want to send him a little bit so I can let him relax a little bit going down the chute. Down the backside, I wasn't worried about the kickback. Even within the 16th of a mile at the gate, a couple times, dirt hit him, he didn't even mind. He just shake his head and he just kept running through it. At the 3/8 pole, I asked him and he moved up so sweet. I mean, he was right in my hand the whole time. And once I got to the quarter pole, I just pulled the trigger. You know, I figured if I pull the trigger, it's gonna be hard to beat me from here to make up the ground on a sealed racetrack. When I got to the 8 pole and I started asking him, I mean, you can feel the horse responding.
True Timber is going to pull off the upset here in the Grade 1 Cigar Mile.
For my mom, my dad, and my wife and my kids, I know how much it meant for them just as much as it meant for me, you know. The fist pump at the wire explains it all. And I'm saying to myself, man, I think this is a Grade 1.
Was this a Grade 1? Oh, this is my first Grade 1. Oh, we got our Grade 1, baby.
Coming from Louisiana to win one of these races, the Cigar Mile, and the African-American jockey, for myself, for my family, for the people that's out there that's seeing this and never thought it could be done. It can be done if you work hard.
Kendrick Carmouche will be aboard that 2-year-old filly, Purloin, filly by Arrogate. As Andy, this is one who worked 10 and 2 at the OBS April sale, and she had that big, long stride, just of a horse that looked like she'd be a little later developing and one that wanted distance, typical of what we now know of the Arrogates.
And you kind of wonder, we have back-to-back Arrogates winning their debuts, going a mile in the dirt. We saw the Clement New York bred in the first race yesterday.
Mandagate.
66 buyer, by the way, for that horse, the first yesterday. And yeah, obviously, Cherie DeVaux entered on the turf, but we were talking about it a bit, you and I, when we were going over the card earlier this morning, about how this one felt like she might be one that Cherie might not have been that upset this race stayed on the was switched to the dirt.
Well, the second dam was good on the turf. She ran well on the main track as well, and the Arrogates seem to handle either surface, but primarily you think of them a little bit more as dirt runners. But this filly looks like she certainly should appreciate the distance that she will get to run at, as it will be a mile on the main track with this 5th race coming off the turf. For more, let's head down and get a paddock report from Maggie.
And we'll begin with that daughter of Arrogate here, Purloin. I initially agreed with what you guys were saying, is that they had to be excited to run this horse on this surface. And now, having looked at her, I'm not so sure about that. She's kind of big, gangly, you know, somewhat typical of the Arrogates, but she just looks a bit weaker, especially behind, and for that, usually turf is the answer, and she just kind of overall looks a little bit more turf meant. Don't get me wrong, the wet sealed track can mimic a turf course, so that might be to her liking. She's very laid back, and I'm just wondering if she kind of needs a race to wake up, to kind of get fitter and stronger overall. I'm not going to be shocked when she wins here, but I was hoping for maybe a little bit of a better impression here in the paddock, as we'll move on to the MTOs, including the Rick Dutrow trainee. That is number 15, Winning Touch, daughter of Constitution. The dam is a stakes winner going long on the dirt, though most of the races won on the synthetic. And she is half to Sporting Chance, who did win the Grade 1 Hopeful. And there's another Louisiana-bred stakes winner in the pedigree. And at first, when she walked in, she kind of looked a little bewildered, a little green. But since getting the tack on, she's settled in and focused. And if anything, she, other than the horse who has some experience, she really, of the 4 in here, looks the most meant for this condition, going long on the main track. And she looks pretty fit as well. As a horse who arguably is the most impressive is on the far outside in number 16, Philly's Finest. We saw a flame away for Cherie DeVaux win yesterday, albeit on the turf. Now, it's much more of a turf and synthetic pedigree on the bottom side, though I will say 3 of the 4 siblings did win on the dirt first time out. So there's precocity and win early pedigree with this filly, as she's beautifully put together. I love what I'm seeing from her physically. I will say she does have a massive turf hoof. Now, that could be neither here nor there when it comes to what she faces as far as competition. Now, she's probably 90% fit. She will benefit from a start, but at least, Acacia, she looks strong enough to be able to handle this first surface first time out.
All right, Maggie, thank you. 3 first-time starters in here and 1 with experience. The one with experience is the 10 Just Music, Andy, who did not do much running when sprinting on debut. Life Talk did come out of that race to win. She will stretch out for her second try.
Listen, I'm not going to take a stand on or against anybody in this race. And by the way, I just saw your father-in-law down there, Christophe Clement.
Yes.
Why don't we get him up to the set and hang out with us for a little while? Well, he has nothing else to do.
He's a busy man.
He can't want to go home, so I'm going to text him and tell him to come and hang out with us for a little while.
Yeah, see what happens.
Maggie will be jealous that she has to be down here and stop us come up. I don't listen. Obviously, the 10 did absolutely no running first time, and worse than that was 36-1. But she did run against some pretty legitimate horses in there. Life Talk is okay, and she didn't run that well in the Frizette. But she had a big win. I think Allie's Beach, who finished 4th, I want to say, in the 3rd or 4th in the Alcibiades for Tom Amis. Those are okay fillies. So, and listen, she's also got experience, and you're asking a bunch of firsters to go a mile. And usually firsters going a mile just don't have much speed. So maybe she's got a little experience, and maybe she gets out in front. So I'm not going to knock anybody taking any horse in this race.
There is Christophe's Charge, Filly's Finest, a 2-year-old filly by Flame Away, who, as Maggie mentioned, the dam was much more turf and synthetic mint, but it's off to Kim Bayer, who's multiple grade stakes winner in the dirt over in the UAE. Meeting the field, starting things off with the 1 Purloin first-time starter.
Taking a lot of money right now. It's early, but this horse does have a pedigree to suggest distance should not be a problem, and she should be able to handle the dirt based on her pedigree at least.
Second-time starter, Just Music.
We were just talking about her. The audibles have yet to catch fire so far, but it's early, you know, with stallions. Just because they're not gun runner Uncle Mo in their first season.
Look at Arrogate as an example.
Right.
Yeah.
Who would have thought he would have turned out to be as good as he is?
Winning Touch went by.
Yeah, this was after Sporting Chance, who won the Hopeful not that long ago for Wayne Lucas. Was my top choice. I think you two want to guess.
And Filly's Finest to the outside.
Well, if you're a big Phillies fan, after their big win, getting into the NLCS.
Yeah.
Second year in a row, I think, right, for them in the NLCS, I want to say, yeah. Jack Oxley, he's the breeder of this, the Third Dam is Beautiful Pleasure, his tremendous racehorse. She was one of my favorites. I love Beautiful Pleasure.
Dylan Davis going to be aboard that first-time starter. Dylan had a 4-win day yesterday.
He had a great day yesterday. Beat the big favorite in the last race yesterday, and nice to see him doing well. And listen, I mean, rooting for anybody to do okay in a day like today. These are days where the guys, they earn their pay being out there. It's a little miserable out there because it's cold and rainy. But winning cures that, doesn't it?
That's right. Doesn't Richard Migliore say that? It's always warm and dry in the winner's circle.
Yeah.
I can understand that. There's Jose Ortiz will be aboard the 15 Winning Touch. The dam was also 3rd in the Coaching Club American Oaks, so there's definitely plenty of pedigree for this horse to be effective.
Which one?
Winning Ride.
Oh, Winning Ride. I'm
Yes.
sorry. I was thinking, right. No, she ran Buyers, the Buyer, 92, I think was her best Buyer. I mean, this is the one we guessed on because we saw the most pedigree, I think.
Here's today's Pick 6 sequence. Does kick off here in the 5th. You know, all races off the turf, and we've got a shorter field in here, but we talked about a couple of the races to look forward to, races 8 and 9 a little bit later on. Very intriguing races, and seeing which ones could potentially bring forth some logical results or maybe some prices.
Yeah, I mean, why don't we take a good glance? I mean, both you and I did the handicapping show on Talking Horses earlier in the day today, and I think one of the things we firmly agreed on in race number 6, where we had very different opinions, was we had no real strong convictions in there, and those could be the kind of races where, you know, you could get a horse at a price. I mean, you like the 7 Quick Flash, so I'm looking at the doubles is a reasonable enough price. I like the 8. Beachwalker seems to be taking a little bit of money in doubles, though it might be a bit random at this point. The 7th race off the turf, you know, we stuck to the horses in the AE list, but, you know, you look at a couple of them. Is Ski Patrol that Linda Rice left in. The Dam Forever Together, a lot of people will forget that as incredible as she was in the turf, she was good in the dirt before she went to the turf. I think she made her turf debut in the Just a Game, the race before she won her first Diana. And I was talking to Linda Rice about leaving her in, and Linda said, the way things are going, I can't seem to get into a turf race because we get rained off every time. And what am I supposed to do? Why not just take a shot and see if the horse can sprint in the dirt?
Yeah, I mean, this is a horse I know has been rained off at least once or twice that I can think of.
If
we've
you've only
seen
been
in
rained
the
off once
entries.
in the last few months around here, you're lucky.
You're actually very lucky. I mean, everybody's been rained off. It's just crazy. There's a big celebration going on over in Equestrius up here, too.
There is. Well,
Yes,
yeah, I'm
happy
just hoping the violin comes back.
That was quite a show last week.
Keisha loves the violin. Even 3-0, but I mean, it's not like there's a lot of form. We like Flash Kiss, but can't really trust that horse. The 8th race, you like the favorite in there, Dot Stoller, who's the horse to beat.
Right.
But I thought, think about it. No, I know you had there in the mix as well. The 2 was a little bit interesting in there. We talked about the 9th, where you prefer Strobe. I like Provocateur. I'm going to bet that horse. And the last race, I mean, this race was a crapshoot in the turf, and it's a crapshoot in the dirt.
Yeah, the lone main track only in the last race actually started on turf, so we'll see what happens in that nightcap. But for now, the 5th race coming up for the 2-year-olds, let's go back to Maggie.
We'll check in with the horse who has experience, which could mean a lot here. Who knows? As Just Music will try to stretch things out in her second start. She was, pretty slow, to say the least, in that debut. I wish, she carried a little bit more conditioning. She's a little bit of a slighter framed filly, but that sometimes bodes well for handling a track like we have here today. And I don't have a problem with her stretching out, and I do think she could be a little bit more forward given the short field and added distance. So I'm not going to ignore her, but certainly it felt like the first-time starter for Rick Dutrow in here, the 15 Winning Touch. She's been pretty sharp and keen and clued in throughout the preliminaries here. And guys, that party has spilled out onto the balcony as well. They were hooping and hollering earlier up in the stands too. I'm just glad somebody's enjoying this weather.
We wish them all the best, whoever it is that's celebrating here at the Big A today. Enjoy it.
Well, the Big A has the most ridiculously incorrect and unfair reputation from people who never come here.
I used to take the train here when I was in college and meet my parents.
It's the greatest, right?
Yeah.
We love Aqueduct.
Yeah.
It's the city racetrack. To
It
pretend
is.
it's anything other than that.
It does
doesn't
not
mean it's not
pretend to
fun.
be anything
Right.
that it's not.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't understand. And it's just the people who you see criticizing it, they've never really been here. We get decent crowds. It's on the subway. The weather has spoiled it, but the racing can be very good. And if we ever get this rain to stop, we'll get some turf racing in through November because we barely run the course.
That's very true. Loading in for these 2-year-old fillies on the main track, here's Chris Griffin.
And they're off. Philly's Finest has early speed from the outside. It's Philly's Finest right out to the front. And here comes Just Music and Trevor McCarthy to the inside. But Philly's Finest is quickest. Philly's Finest will bring him out of the chute, is up by a length and now called a length and a half. Just following this one comes Just Music, who is right to the outside to stalk this pace setter now. And behind them, that's Winning Touch and the early trailer, Purloin. They work to the backstretch now, and to the inside here, it's Philly's Finest. Philly's Finest is still a half length in front. Right to her outside here comes the move from Just Music, and Just Music is moving in a touch closer. Winning Touch is still in the 3 path, is patiently ridden, and getting closer now is Purloin, who's the trailer, tightly bunched as they approach a half-mile left to go. 23-4. That easy opening quarter here for Philly's Finest. Philly's Finest is in command, is still up by that half length. Just Music continues to chase up alongside, and Just Music now asks the question, moves forward. Winning Touch has been watching the action here from third, and Winning Touch is making a 3-wide move for the lead. They went 48-1 for that half-mile time, and Purloin at 6-5 is looking for room for Carmouche, who's looking for 3 on the afternoon. As they reach the top of the stretch, and now Just Music is trying to put away Philly's Finest, and the 2 path is going to open up for Purloin, who's going to now burst on through. Purloin got that opening and now muscles on down towards the inside. In for the fight is Just Music, and still not out of it is Winning Touch. 3 across the racetrack here for a final furlong, now down to 2. Purloin is trying to shake off Just Music, who keeps coming back. Purloin is up by a full length now. Purloin got that dream journey and gets the victory. Purloin gets the win over Just Music, then came Winning Touch and Philly's Finest in 1 minute, 38.78 seconds.
Kendrick Carmouche wins another one. Purloin with the victory for trainer Cherie Deveau, that first-time starter by Eric Gate.
Well, it worked out well for them with this race coming off the turf. We'll see if Cherie ends up moving this horse to the turf. I'm not sure this race is going to break any stopwatches, but Cherie continues what has been an absolutely terrific year for her. I mean, she's a very good trainer, and she's really having a breakout year. And her 2-year-old's been running very well this year also. And she's got one of the best 3-year-old turf horses in the country. She's got one of the better turf horses, period, in the country in More Than Looks.
Yes, he's very, very talented.
He is really
for
good.
Sure. 6-5, that first-time starter Purloin over the one with experience, the number 10, Just Music, who was able to stretch out effectively. But Purloin going in between horses as well. I think that's the 3rd win today for Kendrick.
Kendrick loves the slop. He's going to be joining the party up here soon, the way things
I think they would gladly welcome him. He's usually invited to all the parties around Aqueduct. 1, 10, 15, 16 in the 5th race. Purloin gets the victory on debut. That filly by the late, great Arrogate for trainer Cherie DeVoe. Prices, reactions, and more when we come back on this Saturday, America's Day at the Races.
$250, $260.
First time I saw Epicenter was a Keeneland September sale, and he went immediately from there to my parents' place in Laredo, Texas. So I was fortunate to be involved with him early on. He was somebody we were always extremely high on physically. He was capable of speed, but it was quite obvious the further they went, the better off he would be. He had won the preps gate to wire going into the Louisiana Derby, and it was an opportunity to show another dimension of him, and he handled it extremely professionally and developed that style from there.
It's Epicenter, who's kicked away now. Epicenter wins the Louisiana Derby.
With his talent level, we were always hoping and thinking classics, and him being the one. The times that he yielded, the numbers that he put down late in his 2-year-old year, early 3-year-old year is as good as it gets. Quite obvious, the Derby and the Preakness and how, the outcome of that being frustrating. But if anything, Epicenter showed a grittiness, toughness, didn't let any of that hurt his feelings, and rebounded with emphatic victories and showed exactly how good he could be.
And he's the center of attention now. Epicenter comes from off the pace to win the Jim Dandy Stakes. Epicenter in front, and he is at the top of the 3-year-old class. Epicenter with a very top-notch finish in the Run Happy Travers.
He separates himself. His mental strength, physical strength, always looked tremendous on the racetrack. Every time you breezed him, worked him. The brilliance that can come along with Giant's Causeway. It's not lost on me that gun runners out of a Giant's Causeway mare, when they are good, they're better than everybody else.
We're back on America's Day at the Races. Thanks for sticking with us on this Saturday afternoon. Maybe a little bit overcast and rainy, but as we discussed, it seems like you're always warm and cozy in the winner's circle. Purloin, first-time starter for Cherie DeVoe, gets the job done. Another nice 2-year-old for the barn.
Yeah, no, she's they're firing all cylinders. And this is Marty Schwartz. I feel like Marty would that horse run? He's got the horse that ran the Miss Grillo, I think, the other day, but I feel like he might have had another winner recently, too, and his horse was Cherie, and of course, Marty owned some very good horses. Gorella was one of my favorites. Lady of Venice going back. Zagora, obviously very good horses that he bought from Europe, but, you know, we'll see what this horse does, what surface she ends up staying on.
Filly by Arrogate gets the job done on debut. Third win today for Kendrick Carmouche. She went off at 6-5, $4.40 winner.
And I think one of the things I like seeing so far in the races is we're not seeing some kind of bias.
No.
We're not seeing having to need the lead. We're seeing horses moving towards the inside. We're seeing horses on the outside. So despite the miserable conditions, at least the surface is not biased. It's giving everybody a chance. And we want everybody that stays in on these days like this to have a fair chance.
Amen to that. We turn our attention now to race 6, scheduled main track race. Goes 7 furlongs on the main track, $25,000 claiming race for 3-year-olds and upward. And as the board would suggest, pretty competitive and wide open race. Poppy's Pride, the favorite right now at 2-1, a horse first off the claim for John Toscano.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we were talking about earlier, theoretically, he could be the controlling speed, but it's really hard to see Quick Flash, who was engaged with him last time, not going in this race, going again. I don't see why he would rate. We'll see if 235 is fast enough to keep up with him. This is a tricky race.
2-1 on Poppy's Pride right now. We'll talk more about the 6th race when we come back. We'll also talk about the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation and everything that they're doing to take care of our equine athletes after their racing days are over. More on that when we come back on America's Day at the Races.
It's a domineering display by the ultra-talented McKenzie. McKenzie in a dominant performance.
1,200,000 right there. 1,200,000. 550. Mitchell, 550,000.
And now 500. And 500,000. Thank you.
450. 75. 475,000.
There are more than 3,500 reasons buyers came to Keeneland November last year. Because as you look to the future, this is where you'll find whatever you're looking for. And then some. And then some more. The place you have to be to find the one you have to have. Join us as the world comes to Keeneland, November 8th through the 16th. Browse the catalog at november.keeneland.com.
City of Light, a multiple Grade 1 winner with $5.6 million in earnings. Winner of the Grade 1 Malibu, the Grade 1 Triple Bend, the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, posting a 110 buyer, and the Grade 1 Pegasus World Cup, posting a 112 buyer. The best son to date of leading stallion Quality Road. City of Light stands to continue his sire's legacy at Lane's End.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings right from your phone with Naira Bats. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bats.
We are so happy to be here in Chestertown, New York, at the beautiful home of Heather and Joe Rio, their daughter Hazel, and one of the luckiest horses I've ever met, Dusk to Dawn.
Dusk to Dawn turns for home with a 5-length lead.
2018 was the first summer that we brought horses up to Saratoga. We called it our TRF Saratoga Summer Farm, and we brought 4 or 5 horses up from the Wallkill Correctional Facility. Dusky was one of them.
I asked Joe, can we please go see the horses? I'd love to go see horses for my birthday.
We had a lot of people visiting. It was all about introducing our herd ambassadors, but then this sort of magical connection established.
It was love at first sight when I saw him running through that paddock. So my husband Joe turned to me and just said, I see it in your face. You're in love with Dusky. For your birthday, I want to get you a horse. I started crying in the barn. I'm like, I'm around all these people. So I found a barn in Fort Anne, about 20 minutes from us. But I had my daughter, and COVID happened. And they locked down barns, and you couldn't go to the barns freely to go visit. And that's when I really started thinking, I want him home. I need him home with me so I can be there.
Was this arena here? Was that barn here?
No, so we found the house and we ended up having an excavator come in and clear the land, bring in sand, and Joe built all the fencing around, found a place to build the barn.
I would call this the house that Dusky built.
Yes, definitely.
Did you have any idea that it was just down the road from where Dusky had been born?
I knew that Dusky was a Chestertown Farms racehorse. Had no idea we were moving to the same street that he was actually born on.
Oh my
Just,
gosh.
you know, a couple miles down the road.
It, to me and to all of us at the TRF, is an example of a fairy tale ending.
The most fun part to me is being able to show my daughter the lifestyle of having a horse, teaching her how to clean the barn. She loves throwing the shavings down and sweeping up and giving Dusky lots of treats. You know, being able to give her back what my dad gave to me.
When a family adopts a horse from the TRF herd, they not only adopt one, they save two by making a space in our herd where we can take another horse into our care. You know your mommy is a hero for the horses? She is. And you're her little horsey helper. You're the hero helper. Is that right?
Cannot say enough good things about the work that the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation does. You can visit trfinc.org, celebrating 40 years this year of helping horses and saving lives. As Maggie, I know all of us very involved in everything that the TRF does and such big fans, and they have some big things coming up as well.
Yes, they do, Acacia. Of course, the hay drive going on, which we have to give thanks to the Santulli family, as they will match up to $60,000 with the donations going up to that. So it really helps all of our horses. And too, Acacia, I mean, you can also, there's also the holiday appeal that will go on. I know that Equine Affair up in, I believe, your home state of Connecticut, will have a booth set up there. And we will be selling, TRF will be selling, you know, horse items such as tack and blankets and everything that you need to take care of a horse to benefit the proceeds from those sales will benefit the horses. So just really looking forward to what TRF has in store and just helping the horses as well. And on the heels of the RRP, of course, TRF will represented there with a booth. But the RRP is always such a highlight to the end of the year to see what these horses can do. I mean, I give so much applause to everyone who takes these horses because I promise, as somebody who has worked with them since I was 10 years old off the track, it takes a good year or two for them to really settle in truly to their second careers, but it also highlights how adaptable they truly are in everything they can do. It seems like when you put them in competition, no matter what the discipline, they show up. They bring their best because thoroughbreds, they're always rock stars, Acacia.
They are the best, Maggie. They really are. So check out all of the upcoming events and how you can support the TRF is at trfinc.org. And Maggie teed it up perfectly with the Retired Racehorse Project Thoroughbred Makeover. Wrapping up now over in Kentucky. We saw some horses that we knew well on the track, Andy, including Arklow, who we saw win the Joe Hirsch here in New York, a multiple graded stakes winner. He raced for quite a while, and he was actually the Field Hunter champion with Gina Gans, and big congratulations to them. He was tremendous. It was so fun getting a chance to follow him. Raced just a year ago, as Maggie was saying, so really quick turnaround to see him come back and get a blue ribbon over there.
No, that's awesome. And all of the horse rescue, and I know you're very involved in it, Maggie's very involved in it. It's a terrific thing to see, and you know, there's so much love for the horses. He looks happy out there, having a good time. I spent a little time over the summer with Kim Weir from the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation, and we went and saw some of the herd outside of Saratoga and spent an afternoon with them. And it really is, it's terrific to see them, and these horses give us so much. And I know it sounds a little corny, we say it a lot, but it's true. And horses give people a lot of pleasure.
They really do, both on the track and after as well. So it's really fun getting a chance to follow horses like Arklow in their second career. And hats off big time to everybody who participated in that Thoroughbred Makeover. It's a lot of work, a lot of time that goes into getting those horses ready for that and having an opportunity to showcase all that they can do after their racing days are over. We'll kick off the late pick 5 coming up next. Race 6 on the main track after this. Stay with us on America's Day at the Races.
The Run Happies are running, the Run Happies are selling, the Run Happies are winning. Eclipse champion Run Happy is showing a new dimension with winners on turf, dirt, and all weather. A record-breaking sprint champion, Run Happy is also showing winners at all distances.
The son of Run Happy, Nutella Fella, has won the hopeful.
One happy mama wins the Iowa sorority. Run Happy, price for value, and standing strong at Claiborne Farm.
On a perfect day, there is no finer place in all of sports.
Nerves, excitement, and anticipation.
Than beautiful, truly stunning. For the Breeders' Cup World Championships.
The momentum continues for War Dancer as War Smoke delivers at Finger Lakes.
War Smoke in front, another one for Andre Worry.
Barrage runs down the field at Saratoga.
Here's Barrage with a final surge. Barrage got him.
And Born Dancer goes wire to wire, outlasting all comers.
It's going to get close. BM Courage coming inside Born Dancer. Photo finish.
Shouldn't you have a War Dancer? War Dancer, proud to stand in New York.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than America'sBestRacing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. America'sBestRacing.net is a sport for you.
Everybody, welcome to Claiborne Farm. Claiborne Farm has been around since 1910. The tour is a backstage look at how we operate as a large-scale breeding farm. These are parts of the farm that have always been off limits to the public. You know, you would only see these barns and these horses up close if you worked out here. So it's been really exciting to open that to the public, to show that end of the industry and just spread that knowledge. You know, you take a group out, they get to scratch on a mare in full, they think it's super cool, and hopefully create a lifelong fan. So our stallions stand from anywhere from $5,000 to $100,000. That is a stand-in nurse guarantee. So that fee is not paid until the next year after the mare has had her baby, the full stands, and everything is good. We have conceived 22 Kentucky Derby winners, 19 Preakness winners, 22 Belmont winners, and 29 Breeders' Cup winners. In addition to that, 6 of the 13 Triple Crown winners have been conceived in our breeding shed. So I'm always excited to, you know, spread the knowledge that I've had, share this passion for the breeding industry that I've had basically my entire life, and just spread the wealth. Basically, all of our tours are sold out. That's just absolutely fantastic. Sometimes we'll try to sneak in 1 or 2 extra people onto the trolley. It's a yearling colt field. Actually, this field is home of 2013 Kentucky Derby winner Orb, as well as Breeders' Cup Classic winner Flame. The cemetery is extremely popular. It's on both types of tours that we offer, so the trolley tour and the walking tour. People travel from all over the world to see Secretariat's grave. So it's really exciting to see people's reaction to seeing that. Secretariat, the 1973 Triple Crown winner. I just want to thank everybody for coming on this tour. This is a tour that we've been really excited about. We're really excited to open up this side of the operation to the public. I think Claiborne is just absolutely iconic when it comes to horse racing. I don't think you can think of horse racing without thinking of Secretariat and Claiborne Farm.
Claiborne Farm, 100 years of doing the unusual unusually well. Doing the usual unusually well. I got distracted by the pumpkin.
Did we make the Claiborne pumpkin, or they make it?
No, I think it's downstairs in
Really?
when you walk into Aqueduct.
Oh, there's a really, because we had the one, the Fox Sports pumpkin.
Yes.
I thought we were gonna have it on the set. What's going on?
No, it melted apparently.
Well, it's a little early to be making pumpkins. I mean, they're, you know,
Yeah,
you
we
might
still
want
have a
to
few
wait
weeks.
a week or
Apparently it melted. Yeah, Sarah posted a photo on Instagram that it melted.
It melted?
Yeah.
How did
The bottom like disintegrated basically.
we buying the right pumpkin?
I don't know, maybe not. Maybe it's user error.
What is the shelf life of a pumpkin that you carve?
No, usually they last for a while because then after you use them for Halloween, you put them outside and you let the squirrels have them.
That's how it works?
Yes.
Squirrels at my mom's house, they're always going for the bird feed. They're really
They're
really
very
gluttonous.
clever sometimes.
Well, we had so many squirrels that at one time my dad years ago got one of those have a heart traps.
Yeah.
Where they would capture them and they'd bring them out and take them to state park.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I don't mind squirrels. It's pigeons that I'd rather stay away
Yes,
from
pigeons
me.
you have a problem
Yes,
with.
yeah.
I like them all. I have no problem.
Yeah.
I almost actually got attacked
like I
by
said,
pigeons
I
in the
wish
city.
them well. I just want them to stay away from me.
I had a whole flock of them flying right at my head walking down the street the other day.
Oh, that would. Mm-mm.
It was like the birds too.
No, thank
Felt like
you.
Timmy Hedren.
No, thank you. There's 235. Here's a horse. On that note, we have race 6 coming
talking
up
about
next.
horses?
7
We're on YouTube.
furlongs.
Talking about anything.
They're actually pigeon racing. Pigeon racing, I guess, is very popular.
It is. Yeah, it is.
in this area. Yeah.
There was a guy who used to come to the track all the
Yeah.
time. He used to bring the books, like the pigeons
Oh,
for
no,
sale.
they have-
make
no,
crazy
they have,
money
like,
for the pigeons.
Pedigree books and everything.
Crazy
and
money for
yes,
pigeons. Yeah, that's right.
They have like tracking devices on them. They let them out and they fly back to home and then they navigate. You know who goes.
That's right. Mitch said Terry Malloy and On the Waterfront kept
Yeah.
pigeons, right?
Yeah. Well, there you go. Anyway, 6th race coming up next, $25,000 claiming race. There's 235. Currently co-favorite right now at 2-1. And I mean, Andy, you and I were asking earlier, who is the horse to beat in here? And you wonder, can 235 repeat the big race that he ran last time out because he was able to control, he was dominant. Can he do it again?
I'm against him. Of the horses getting bet, he's the one that I kind of like the least. I thought the track was very kind to speed this day. It was kind to horses that were inside speed. He was able to control, and even though the pace was honest, it was that kind of racetrack. He is not faster than Poppy's Pride. I don't think he's faster necessarily than some others in here. Is he really faster than Ryan's Cat if he wants to be aggressive from the inside, Kendrick? I don't like him. The one's taking money, he's the one I would be betting against.
As far as Poppy's Pride, currently your favorite, 2-1. First off, the claim for Don Toscano. He was part of the pace early on with Quick Flash. Air Show kind of got the perfect trip sitting right behind the two of them. This is a horse who wanted a big price over in Saratoga 2 starts back.
Yeah, but, you know, when he got the job done at Saratoga, first of all, it was a very weak field. Second of all, that was a day when inside speed was good, too. So all these horses that are taking money are a little dressed up.
Here's the remaining part of the entry, all about the money.
I don't get them, but I rarely get David Jacobson. There's randomness there.
Ryan's Cat will break from the rail.
I thought he was interesting in this race. He has some form and maybe just need a little time off, and he's gotten it.
Co-favorite, Poppy's Pride.
I mean, of the horse taking money, I would prefer him. He can be forward. We'll see if he has the speed of the speed.
Here's Life and Light, big price.
He got a good figure 2 back, but other than that, he's just too slow.
41-1 is the longest price on the board. There's 235, also your co-favorite.
We've talked about him. I think both of us are kind of trying to beat him.
Charging Arrow.
I may pass out any time. Comes off the claim for Derek Ryan, who was 2 for 9 off the claim in the dirt over the last 5 years. Not many claims.
The 7 quick flash. First off the claim for Pat Reynolds.
Hey, this is one I know that you liked. He does not like to win, though, at 3 for 37 with 11 seconds, 17 seconds and thirds.
And Beachwalker.
I like Beachworthy. Beachwalker, excuse me, or Beachworthy. It's not a beach day. He was compromised last time. The race was dominated up front in a slow pace. I think there's more pace today, and he's got some races good enough. I'm going to take him second off the claim for Randy Persaud.
Getting a nice price on him as well. That's the field for this 6th race. Let's head down trackside, check in with Maggie.
Well, watching horses gallop off here, I'm not going to lie. I'm not spending too much time getting wet today. It's fine, whatever. As we'll move on and talk about the 1A in here, all about the money. Now, the last time I saw him, it was over the winter, and I just didn't think he looked particularly good, stacking up to his competition in his 2 Aqueduct races, though he ran very well in both of those. I do think, the 1-turn mile is probably best, even though he's won at 6 furlongs. So it's only his 4th try going the 7/8. He's just a bigger type, has a little bit of more scope and length to his frame, and he honestly looks much better now than what he did during the winter. But I do agree with Andy in that a lot of the results we see from David Jacobson, it often doesn't necessarily matter what they look like on paper, but it does tilt more to if they look like they're doing well, at least at this time of the year, they do tend to run fairly well. So we'll see what All About the Money does as Ryan's Cat comes back off of a layoff. And, typical Kendrick Carmouche really sent him away in the warm-up because he needed to be woken up. A horse that in the past I've seen be fairly keen and aggressive, at least in the paddock, and he was really quiet. And furthermore, while he's a horse that does tend to carry his weight and conditioning quite favorably, he just looked as though he needed to be firmer. He needed to look stronger. He needed to be more defined. But there's no doubt about it. He gets some class relief here as he's faced some nice horses going back to over the winter. As we'll take a look at 235, coming off a relatively short rest. I think he was totally with the track last time. And I mean, isn't the argument to be made that this is a little bit on the short side to him? He's a horse that prefers to unravel that stride, to find that rhythm. And I think he's just not quick enough to feel comfortable going the 7/8. He looks great. He looks healthy, given the kind of quick turnaround and the recency of his races, as this is his 11th start of 2023. But I just feel like the 7/8 is a little bit on the short side for him. I'm going to take a shot here with Quick Flash. I thought his last race was very good. He broke well, had bleed, had to take back and switch out, and the winner came up the rail while he kind of gave up that position that day. Great energy in here, very healthy. We'll see what Pat Reynolds can do with him first off of the claim here. Guys?
Maggie, thank you. I like Quick Flash in here as well. I thought last time, too, Andy, that he never had a breather. Manny Franco was working on him to keep up with Puppy's Pride early, then working on him late, trying to chase Airshow, who was able to come up the inside, as Maggie mentioned, kind of sitting in the proverbial catbird seat. And we'll see what Quick Flash can do. I know he's not a winning type, but maybe he'll find the right spot, and he's a good price.
He's a decent price. I'm not knocking anybody in here. Honestly, it's a little tough to make a case for the 4, but I don't feel that. I don't feel you're on strong ground with anybody. I think the favorite is extraordinarily vulnerable. It feels like a race where people are struggling with it, and they're just sort of deferring to 235 because he ran a big figure last time and won easily.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, that's a very deceptive race, and this is a very different race he's in. He was able to use his speed going a mile, and yeah, the pace was quick, but sometimes those races, because the dynamics, the paces are quick on paper, but they're just not going that. Because he went 45 and 4 down the long straightaway where you really get rolling, and now you're going 7 against more experienced 6 to 7 type sprinters, he's not likely to have their speed. And I feel like last time was the time for him. He might get the winner's circle, but to me, he's a bad gamble at 2-1. You've taken the 7. I've taken the 8. I just think also, I think this is a good race. Get a little creative, because this is a tough race. You want to get paid if you're right in here. Maybe the finish will be 5-3. I doubt it.
2-1, 9-5 now on 235. Maggie bringing up some concerns with the shorter distance. Andy bringing some concerns as far as the dynamics as well, and if he can repeat that last effort. We'll soon find out. Loading in for race 6, here's Chris Griffin with the call.
235. Waiting on Beach Walker. They're in. All set. And they're off. Good break from in between horses is Poppy's Pride, who's right out to the front, and Quick Flash is hard sent the gray up on the long side. It's going to be Poppy's Pride and Quick Flash. No easy leads here. They're head and head as they work up the backstretch. Just off of them is going to be Charging Arrow, who broke with the leaders, but now passed to the inside by 235, who secures third. All About the Money is in the red cap. Out in the center of the racetrack is in fifth. They're followed at the rail by Ryan's Cat, who's in sixth. The two at the back. That's Life and Light with the trailer. Beach Walker. On the front end, it's Poppy's Pride. Went 22 and 3 for that opening quarter mile. Quick Flash is still within a half length of the leader. The trip comes right in behind them as 235 is just stalking these pace setters from third, is 2 lengths off the battling duo, and in behind that, Ryan's Cat is moving through at the rail. They're approaching a quarter mile left to go, 45 and 3, that half mile time, and they reach a quarter mile left to go now, and it's Poppy's Pride who is still in front. Poppy's Pride is finding plenty right now. Ryan's Cat is moving towards the inside, and here comes 235, who's had a nice journey, but Poppy's Pride just keeps going. It's still Poppy's Pride finding plenty on the front end, is now 3 lengths clear. Poppy's Pride, one more time here, 235 is going to try late here as they approach the final 16th. All About the Money, and also running on Beach Walker. Poppy's Pride is still there. Poppy's Pride will win it. Poppy's Pride, Jose Ortiz, they get the victory over 235. Then All About the Money and Beach Walker. Final running time, 1 minute 23 and 3.
Poppy's Pride with the win, and just as predicted, Andy, 3-5 of the short price favorites get the job done.
Yep, there you go. Tough race on paper. The favorites run 1-2 in reverse order. Poppy's Pride, the better of the two, and Poppy's Pride much the best here, dueling with your 7 horse there and getting it done. My 8 Beach Walker came a little too late. I had a little 3-8, but Beach Walker came from way back, was dead last. Just could not quite get there.
3-5, 1A, 8, 5-2 on Poppy's Pride, who picks up another win, third last time out off the win 2 back at Saratoga. Now gets the victory first off the claim for John Toscano, a 5-year-old gelded son of Kozan. 5-2 winner with Jose Ortiz in the saddle. Prices and more when we come back. Beating your 9-5 favorite, 235. We'll talk a little bit more about the winners here and bring you some more features when we come back. Stay with us on America's Day at the Races.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
In 109.22 seconds.
Curling, the classic sire.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
You're watching America's Day at the Races, brought to you by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. We just saw Poppy's Pride victorious first off the claim for John Toscano, as Andy, this one able to shake off all challengers and hold firm in the stretch.
Yeah, ran well here to get it done. It was an honest pace. The other pace setter, the horse, the 7, pushed him, had nothing left. He drew off. Perfect trip for the 5. No better than second there, the favorite. Getting second there, and some minor closes by the 1 and A and 8. The best horse won the race.
Favorites run 1-2. The 3 Poppy's Pride, actually your second choice at 5-2, with the favorite 235 checking in second. $7.30 winner in race number 6. We turn our attention to race 7. Was scheduled for the turf, now to be run a sprint distance on the main track. It's a 30,000 non-winners of 2 in life for 3-year-olds and upward. Here's a look at the remaining runners. Currently all the way to the outside blue plate special. The favorite one of 3 main track only runners that we will have in here. Kendrick Carmouche picks up the call with Flash Kiss, who's been a little bit tricky to keep on the racetrack, Andy, but taking a significant drop in class.
Yeah, I think Blue Plate Special is a terrible favorite in this race, to be honest with you. This horse beat a very weak field last time. If he wins, I'm going to lose, and I'm going to have to bet this race because I don't think he should be favored. Frankly, I think the other 2 MTOs are easily as likely, if not more likely, winners, and I think both the inside 1 and 3 horses could be a little interesting, though I prefer the number 11 and the 13.
Talk a bit more about it in a moment. We'll also talk about trainer Ray Handel, who we saw have a nice win going 1.25 miles yesterday, and learn a little bit more about his journey to becoming a trainer and making his way here in New York. More on that after this.
The Best 2-Year-Old by legendary sire Quality Road.
Hit back, $1.5 million.
Very, very impressive debut. Cantering home could not have been more impressive.
Coast to coast in the American Pharoah. He's the real deal.
Undefeated and unchallenged at 2.
He's just too good. He wins the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Corniche.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings right from your phone with Naira Bats. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bats.
This has always been my dream, to ride great horses like Life is Good. he broke like a rocket from the gate. His acceleration, pure speed whenever I ask him. That explosive kick to the finish. Man, life is good.
Now more than ever, it's time to get with the program. When shopping for your next race prospect, consider that New York breds start with an advantage. Our New York breds run for serious green. At Saratoga Race Meet, New York bred maidens run for up to $88,000. New York bred allowance horses run for up to $100,000. And New York bred owners can collect awards of up to $20,000 per horse per race. So get back with the program. Seriously.
Unorthodox journey. My dad was a gambler, took me to the racetrack when I was a little kid, and I just fell in love with the game, and it's all I'd ever wanted to do at a young age. Started going to the track and meeting some people, learned how to groom, learned how to ride. Started like a janitor at a corporate company and worked our way up to being a CEO now. I went out on my own in 2014. Second horse I ever bought was English Soul. She's still actually my career high earner. And Promise Her America, she's been so special to me. You know, she got me my first graded stakes win because we'd been knocking on the door in graded stakes company, but I felt like it was one thing that was kind of holding us back a little bit and showing people that we can really do it at a higher level. Winning races and kicking butt helped me kind of keep getting better and getting better stock and bigger clientele base. That's kind of helped me elevate my game to the next level. Dad calls me after every single race. He's my biggest fan and my biggest critic. You know, I'd be like, what the hell happened out there today when one doesn't run good? He's the first one to call me before I get to the winner's circle. I'm a competitive person in nature, so to go out there and compete against these guys, it's fun and it's very fulfilling when you claim a horse and seeing them do better and improve and then perform on the racetrack. All of it combined is just everything that I could imagine.
Trainer Ray Handel, who's had a tremendous year. His horse Billy's got issues scratched out of this upcoming race since we are off the turf. But Andy, the feature angle worked yesterday as we showed the feature, and then we saw Constitution Lawyer get the big win in the feature yesterday afternoon for Ray.
One race too late for me, but I was glad for Ray to see him get the win. Did a nice job with Constitution Lawyer. He's a horse that can run a little bit in the turf, but he's really a much better dirt horse.
He's really turned things around and got the big victory yesterday. Again, off the turf for this upcoming 7th race. Be sprinting on the main track. We'll go all to the outside as there are a handful of main track only runners in here, including Blue Plate Special, who got the win last time out to Breakers Maiden.
Yeah, I honestly, I'll get him in the winner's circle. I don't like this horse. I thought he was wide. The rail was dead that day. Woodside Warrior, who's morning line favorite tomorrow, he will lose to Bad Larry. I'm not here tomorrow, but Bad Larry will win that race tomorrow. I just thought it was an abysmal field. I know these horses, you know, the Levin's obviously a little suspect. He drops down, but he's faced better horses and run faster races. I think Built to Last has a chance here. He was in a race that got wired 2 races back. They tried the turf. He's probably more of a dirt horse. He's got races that could destroy this field. I don't know if he can still run them, but he can run them. Ski Patrol's a wild card. 3-0's a wild card. Even Hatch Off the Claim, I think, is dangerous in this race. So I just think there are a lot better opportunities, and this might be a good race to take a shot. You know, we've run a lot of off-the-turf races, unfortunately, over the last few months. And you will see favorites do well in them. But if you can pick and choose the ones where take a race like the Turf, the fourth race. Well, obviously that was a favorite that was very likely to win. Okay, Cherie won the next race. A 4-horse off the race was sort of the favorite almost by default. This is a race where I think the favorite is extremely vulnerable, where I think they're badly handicapping the race, and I think there are others that are far more interesting and more likely winners.
2-1 on Blue Plate Special. The number 1 to the inside, Ski Patrol, cutting back in distance, has been rained off a couple times already for Linda Rice. Has a beautiful pedigree, being by Pioneer of the Nile and Out of Forever Together. We'll look back a little bit on the dam and her accomplishments after this.
Introducing Venezuelan Hug, the tenacious, towering son of Constitution, now standing in New York. After breaking his maiden at Gulfstreet, he dispatched Cityman and Allowance Company at Saratoga, going on to 6 wins in 10 starts, finishing with 3 straight stakes victories, including the Grade 3 Canadian Turf. Now a versatile sire, complementing any mare with size, looks, and athleticism that's been called the best-kept secret in New York. Venezuelan Hug, standing at Mill Creek Farm. Visit millcreeksaratoga.com to book your mare today.
The world's premier breeding stock event, the November sale at Fasig-Tipton. With a name as memorable as her meteoric rise, Pizza Bianca was one of the top juveniles of 2021. She served up one of the most memorable Breeders' Cup trips in recent memory, weaving through traffic to win the Grade 1 Juvenile Fillies Turf over 11 other graded or group stakes winners.
Who's it gonna be? Pizza Bianca!
That effort made her an Eclipse finalist for Champion 2-year-old filly for owner Bobby Flay and trainer Christophe Clement. Out of the Galileo mare White Hot, Pizza Bianca comes from a deep European family, including Epsom Derby winner Pour Moi, champions Dance Act and Lamtara, and 2023 stars Ancient Rome and No Name Metz. She is offered carrying her first foal by 4-time leading sire Into Mischief. Breeders' Cup champion Pizza Bianca, selling this November at Fasig-Tipton with Elite Agent.
How do you become the gold standard in racing partnerships? One partner, one horse, one victory at a time.
Flight line, 20 lengths clear.
Congratulations to all our partners who have made West Point the gold standard for the last 3 decades.
Many of the successes of Three Chimneys has, been done through partnerships, which is something that we've really embraced. But our most notable and significant partnership would be that of Gun Runner. He won his first 2 races, started at Churchill Downs, and then went on and took several of the Derby prep races. He took the Risen Star, the Louisiana Derby, and ran 3rd in the Kentucky Derby. He won the Grade 1 Clark as a 3-year-old, and then his 4-year-old campaign was absolutely brilliant. He won 4 Grade 1s that year, including the Stephen Foster, the Whitney, the Woodward, topped it off with the Breeders' Cup Classic win. And the next year, before retiring stud, he captured the Pegasus World Cup.
Watching Gun Runner in the Whitney win the race, and towards the very end of it, we all found out that he had a shoe in his tail dangling behind him while he was winning this race. It really goes to show you that he looks past the problems and goes for the finish line.
It's been quite amazing what Gun Runner's accomplished so far as a stallion. To come out with this 2-year-old crop, you have a champion 2-year-old filly who won the Breeders' Cup. You also have Goodnight, who was a Grade 1 winner at 2 in the Hopeful. And then the next year, they just keep coming out running, and it's, different horses. You have an Arkansas Derby winner, you have a Preakness winner, a Pennsylvania Derby winner with Cyberknife and Early Voting, Taba, even a Cotillion Stakes winner with Society, and to have 6 first crop Grade 1 winners is very significant. And in the 2022 Haskell, Gun Runner finished 1-2 in that race with Cyberknife and Taba, so it's very exciting.
He's got this wonderful, he knows how special he is attitude about it, and it really kind of makes us feel like we're real special too, so that helps the morale of the group.
Three Chimneys being a part of Gunrunner's race career, and then getting him to see him come here, stand as a stallion, and experience the success that he's had. It's really come full circle.
It feels very prestigious to be able to say that we manage Gunrunner.
In the 2017 Breeders' Cup Classic, we look back at the remarkable Gunrunner, a horse, Andy, that was always very good, but got even better as he got older, and yet his progeny have been so precocious and effective on the racetrack, and it's just incredible and so fun to watch.
He really came to life in the Clark. I mean, he was a good 3-year-old, but he really got terrific when he started. When they got aggressive with him, frankly, right. they started sending him to the front and using his speed. And I mean, it shows how good Arrogate was at Arrogate's best. Because Arrogate, who was completely eliminated at the break in the Dubai World Cup, ran by him like he was standing still after that start. And that was the only blemish on Gunrunner's career once he was able to win the Clark, going through and running second there, and then just running the table after that. Tremendous racehorse in the track, and an even better sire. Now $250,000 I saw he's standing at for next season.
Pretty amazing. As we take a look at some horses who could potentially be contenders going into this year's Breeders' Cup Classic, and that does include our Whitney winner, White Abarrio, which was probably the biggest race that we've seen from him, Andy, since he won the Florida Derby as a 3-year-old. They had cut him back in distance a bit, stretching back out. Now he's training up to the Classic, and the question is, can he repeat this effort?
Can he do it at 1.25 miles? Can he repeat this effort? I agree. There's such big questions, especially just the repetition part. I'm not overly concerned about the 1.25 miles. You know, the way he was finishing in that race, he feels like he should be able to handle it. Is he just a new horse, a horse that's finally coming into his own for Rick Dutrow? He did have a bit of a trip in the Met, and he sort of tipped his hand there.
Ran very well in the Cigar Mile, just missing.
Yeah, no, he did. He ran terrific at the mile race in the slop here last year. Shockingly, a Saturday at Aqueduct where it rained. A big Saturday
Imagine
at that. I don't even know what it's like when it's nice here on a Saturday. Listen, I still believe he's the horse to beat in the Classic. I'm not knocking Arcangelo, who I think has a big chance. I don't really have a strong opinion of the race at this point. And you have to admire Arcangelo's consistency, and that's what he has versus a horse like White Abarrio. The other thing is, Arcangelo may have another step forward in him. He's a 3-year-old, lightly raced. I think White Abarrio is who he is. I don't think he's going from his 110 buyer to 118 buyer. But I think they are, to me, they're the two favorites in there. I don't know who should be taking more money than Arcangelo and White Abarrio.
I agree. And we'll see how it plays out. A very, very interesting Breeders' Cup Classic this year, especially with such a strong group of 3-year-olds. Back to this 7th race off the turf. There's a look at Ski Patrol. Let's get a paddock report from Maggie.
Yeah, and that's where we'll start things off here, Acacia, with number 1, Ski Patrol for Linda Rice. Now, if the weather gods would only cooperate with us, which they don't, I would have been very intrigued with this horse turning back in distance. Actually built more like a sprinting type here. And while we were talking about a little bit ago, Forever Together, what a mare she was, as she was a multiple grade 1 winning turf horse, but she also is a grade stakes winner on the dirt. But to be fair, this guy has much more of a turf hoof to him. Not to say he can't handle this, but I'm not totally sold on him getting to this surface. Like I said, looks fantastic, but I thought he did last time too. And he did little to no running, going the 1 1/8, turning back to the 6 today. As we'll check in with the layoff runner in number 11, Flash Kiss, for John Terranova. Will come back here as a gelding. And last 2 races, not great, to be fair. Looks really fit, really strong. Wish he would just looked a little bit more comfortable. He's kind of, sulky here in the paddock. Was a little bit girthy too when he first walked out of the saddling stalls. And I just wish there was a little bit more forward and engaging energy from him. I mean, I can relate. I feel like he's my spirit animal right now, Acacia. But again, I'm not about to go out there and run a race.
I mean, I guess you never know, right, Maggie? Never say never.
I don't know. I'd take a shot with Maggie. I was thinking it'd be nice.
You do a sprint against Maggie?
I want to get. It's too bad you can't have one of those dual surface races where one horse is on one surface and the other one's the other one. I'd like to have a race. I guess if you put the turf horse on the outer rail, so it was close to him.
Right.
A match between Scherzando and Risk Free.
That'd be fun.
That would be great.
That
I like
would be
that
fun.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I think-
What was the name of that horse that I want to say Shug McGahee had him, at least at the beginning of his career, that would always finish second? We were on together when he finally won at Belmont. Do you remember the horse that I'm talking about?
Wow, Maggie will probably remember it, but I'm drawing a blank.
He was a
Always-
very big horse. He would always finish second. And he finally won. And I remember you and I were on together, so you turned around and looked at me and said, remember where you were when so-and-so finally
I don't know why
won
I'm
and
drawing a
broke his
blank on
maiden.
this horse. That's
Yeah.
so funny.
I was trying to think of it all show since we
It's unusual
saw
with
Risk
Shug
Free
that
earlier
there's a
today.
horse like that.
It's
I'll have to-
going to click. At least, I can't remember Shug had him all along, but he had him at least at the beginning of his career. In any event, it'll come to me. We'll get it. Let's go back to Maggie.
No, I want to have this conversation. I can't remember his name, but I can picture him plain as day. It's a gray horse, right, Acacia?
Yes, I can picture him perfectly.
Exactly, and it's like a Spanish name.
It's not that started with a
It's not
C.
like Rodriguez. It's not.
Not like started with a C. Oh, no. Oh, yeah. No. You're not thinking of that bad turf sprinter that was a big favorite
Yes.
here last winter?
No, that was Martinez.
Martinez.
Is that,
I don't think it's
that's
Martinez.
not that one, but it was a horse like that.
I am completely drawing a blank.
I'm going to have to think of it.
Sorry.
But yes, I know exactly the horse that Maggie's talking about as well. This is tough. Sometimes because like your brain, you can picture the horse perfectly.
David Aragona
David Aragona?
he thinks it's Bailout.
That's the one.
It's Bailout.
David
And you're right.
Aragona
But I don't
coming
think
through.
Shug still had him.
No, he didn't, but he had him at the beginning.
That's right.
That's
and I
what
remember
yeah.
I was on with
It
you
was
when I said-
Bailout. Thank
right,
you,
Bailout
David.
finally won. Yes, thanks, David.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
I'm just amazed that David's watching on YouTube. I don't know
David's
if
a
I've gained
star.
or lost respect for him at this point.
David is a star. Let's meet the field, starting off with Ski Patrol.
Well, Ski Patrol is a little interesting in the sense that the dam, even though she's a terrific turf horse, could handle the dirt. Linda Rice is sort of taking a shot. Is drifting up if you like him.
Moonwatch went by. Here's 3-0.
This one could be the speed. Now, I don't really think he's a dirt horse, but he could be clear.
Hatch coming up next. First off the claim for Jamie Begg.
I think he's interesting off the claim for Jamie Begg. I know he was bad last time, and that was a bad field, but thought he might be a horse that could benefit from just getting a new barn, not necessarily a big trainer change as much as just a new barn.
Next coming out looks to be the 13, Built to Last.
This horse is getting bombed. This horse 8-1 about 5 minutes ago is now
Wow,
7-2.
yeah.
It's taken a lot of money while Flash Kiss keeps drifting up.
And here is Blue Plate Special. Big warm-up out there.
I got to think that our director, Mitch Levitas, has probably had more Blue Plate specials than anybody at NYRA.
And I missed the 11 Flash Kiss somewhere in the post parade, but we know he's here.
He's dead on the board, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Horse that you and I both
He
like,
is.
but man, they're
I
betting
know
him
that
like he can't win.
he's been tough to keep on the racetrack, but
Shouldn't
he is taking a significant drop in class in here.
Couldn't he be favored in this race?
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree. There he is.
What price did I
He was
wonder,
7-2 on the morning line. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just looking where he was in the relative. I mean, I imagine you can't really look at the dirt. So Morning Cup, he was the favorite of the horses left from the MTOs. He was the favorite, and I would think with Morning Cup scratch, all things considered, he's probably like a 5-2, and he's just ice cold on the board.
Yeah, very cold at 5-1. We head back over to the number 1 Ski Patrol. Both Andy and Maggie reflecting on some of the big performances from this one's Dam Forever Together. Ski Patrol, who has that big pedigree, just trying to find the right spot for this guy. Obviously, he was effective on the Tapeta up at Woodbine, and I hear what Maggie's saying as we're looking back at Forever Together and the 2009 Diana.
I've told this story before, but since we're on YouTube and having some fun here, that race in 2009, we did Saturdays in Saratoga on another network, and it would be Jason and I and Maggie. Jason and I, was Maggie? No, maybe. Not even sure Maggie had started yet. I know that Jason Blewett and I were in the paddock, and it was the first weekend, and we didn't have a monitor.
Oh.
And one of the things we had, so the only way we were in the paddock closer toward the big Red Spring side of the paddock.
Okay.
And the only way we could watch it was on a big TV they used to have on the other side of the
Yes.
paddock, that big screen. So we could barely see the race. So we sort of got to see it, and she won. And after the race was over, we had to do a talk-through of a replay of the race
But you
about a
couldn't
minute or
see
two
the
after
race.
it. Oh, we couldn't see the race as it was being shown in the replay, and we barely even saw it the first time it was run. And so we had to talk through the race as it was being shown on TV without being able to see it. And I was sort of mentally counting in my head to about 150, because it was 148, 147 was mile time, and sort of counting where they were. And I kind of knew where she was, and she was deep closer and going through it. I want to say, when I watched the replay at about 3 a.m. that night at Clancy's in Saratoga, and I know some of you have been to Clancy's, I thought I did a respectable job. Now, it was 3 a.m. at Clancy's, so a lot of things seemed a lot
could be a
rosier
little
than they
blurred
normally
at that
do.
time.
But yeah, that's what I always think of with Forever Together. It was a tremendous race mare.
That's a fantastic
she really
story.
was. Yeah, she debuted in the turf in the Just a Game, and she ran a very good third. I remember Steve Chris commenting to me how well she had run that day. And then we bet on Diana. I think she paid like $18 in Diana. I want to say Julian rode her, Leperoux.
Let's
Jonathan
see.
Shepard.
In the Diana, it was Julian Leperoux. Yep.
$18 her first time to Diana?
Let's see. The first time she was 9-1. Yeah.
$20, yeah. She
Very-
was third in the Just a Game, right?
Third in the Just a Game. Her turf debut actually was at Arlington.
Oh.
In a reluctant
Reluctant guest or something?
Reluctant guest.
No.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
She won that day, and then she was 44-1 in the Just a Game when she was third. Then won the Diana at 9-1, and then was never that price again.
No.
Yeah.
She won the Breeders' Cup Philly Mare Turf that year, right?
She did.
And then she did not win it 2 years in a row, though, I don't think. Did she?
No.
She was third,
She
maybe?
was third as the
Right.
favorite following that, and then disappointed in her final
Right.
race, which was in the Breeders' Cup.
Did
as
she
well.
ever?
Yeah.
She never went overseas anywhere, like Japan Cup or
I
or
don't
Hong
see.
Kong.
I
right?
I don't see it on here.
No.
No.
She
No.
was- she
Looking at
was
her past performances.
one of the
No.
many great.
She was Hickory, that's for sure.
Yep.
9 for 26.
Jonathan
amazing.
Shepard and Augustin Stable. Now the
Yep.
one has drifted back where we're talking about her to 5-2. I mean, maybe they know. Linda
She
Rice
heard-
is 2-1 and 5-2.
He heard us talking about the family.
I like to book the 114 Exacta box. Ooh, little 9-5 on the 14.
How about that? All right, we'll see how it plays out. Sprinting on the main track in this 7th race coming up. 9-5 still on Blue Plate Special as they load in. Here's Chris Griffin standing by with the call.
Hatches move forward. Here's Flash Kiss. Flash Kiss will step in. Built to last. And Blue Plate Special to the outside. Blue Plate Special moves forward. Goes in. All set. And they're off. Ski Patrol with a lot of speed towards the inside, right out to the front, and 3-0 is going to join this rival, and up alongside them, here comes the Gray Hatch to join them 3 wide. Just off of them is going to be Moonwatch, and Over is going to track in the 4 spot right in behind the battling trio. Then it's another 2 back to Flash Kiss towards a far outside Blue Plate Special with Built to Last. As they get set to reach, 4 furlongs left to go, and now securing the front end, Jose Gomez, and 3-0, they're ahead in front. They went 23-1 for that opening quarter mile. Losing some ground to the inside, that's Ski Patrol. Hatches under a drive, 3 wide is coming after the leaders. Also, Moonwatch is traveling nicely enough. Now moves to the outside into the 3 path to chase this leader. It's 3-0 at 9-1, who approaches a quarter mile left to go, and is now 2 lengths in front of Ski Patrol, and Jose Lescano trying to come back towards the inside. Hatches out in the center of the racetrack. Same can be said for Moonwatches on the grandstand side. Meanwhile, up front, it's still 3-0, finding plenty as they approach a final furlong. Here comes Ski Patrol. Got off the rail, and Ski Patrol is within range now. 3-0 is trying to hold off Ski Patrol. Ski Patrol about to put ahead in front. A late run here from Blue Plate Special, but Ski Patrol, Jose Lescano, they get the victory over 3-0. Then came that late run here from Blue Plate Special, who's in a photo with Hatch in 1 minute 10 and 4.
Ski Patrol with the win. It was all that discussion about Forever Together. This one cutting back in distance gets the 2nd victory of his career, Andy.
You really almost thought he was done when he was put away by 3-0. And if you had 3-0 at 9-1, man, were you feeling good top of the stretch. That's a lousy beat and a good idea. As a horse that David actually liked. We were talking about him and almost got the job done at 9-1. But Ski Patrol, I guess Jose Lescano was right to back off. And these horses dominated. Blue Plate Special, broke a little slow, did clunk up for 3rd. But it almost feels like that was more a situation of nobody else running. I mean, both the 11 and 13. I mean, they knew with the 11. They knew he couldn't run. 5-1 on him. He could have been favored in here, and he could not. He never ran a step.
Did not run at all in this spot, but it was the number 1 Ski Patrol cutting back in distance. Linda Rice with the victory, with Jose Lascano 1-3. I believe it was 14, got up for third over Hatch, and yes, indeed he did. Hatch was kind of hanging on that left lead. Lake 1-3, 14-5. Number 1 Ski Patrol out of Forever Together, who banked over $2.9 million in her career. He finds the right spot, gets the second win of his career today. Bring you prices and more when we come back on America's Day at the Races.
Drain the Clock will win and win by as much as he wants. He'll win by 6 in the end.
It is Drain the Clock who will bound home the winner in the Bayshore. Drain the Clock, Jackie's Warrior, a terrific finish in the Woody Stevens that goes to Drain the Clock by a head.
Any success that we've enjoyed is directly attributable to the men and women who first bring horses to us to sell. It's not a chicken and the egg situation in the thoroughbred industry or in the auction industry. You got to have good product. If we're able to attract quality horses to our sale with quality men and women selling them, we're going to have good sales.
We provide a platform for the auction of thoroughbred horses. Our mission is to do that with the highest level of integrity and service. We are the oldest thoroughbred auction company in North America. The stops at Fasig-Tipton are circled on a calendar and are not to be missed. The product that our customers are able to provide is sought after throughout the world.
Well, I believe the future of Fasig-Tipton is extremely bright. Everything that we do is going to be to achieve success tomorrow by doing things right today. It's a commitment to get up and do the right thing every day in a consistent and a professional fashion, and that's a great recipe for success long term.
Tonalist, a 4-time Grade 1 winner with 11 triple-digit buyers, including the Belmont Stakes and the Cigar Mile. He's already living up to his potential as a sire with multiple graded stakes winners, including Grade 1 winner Country Grammar and Grade 2 winner Tonalist Shape, plus multiple 6-figure yearling and 2-year-old sales. Proven on the track, proven in the sales ring. Tonalist, standing at Lane's End.
You're watching America's Day at the Races on this rainy Saturday afternoon. No surprise there, unfortunately, does seem to be the trend off the turf for the 7th race. And we saw Ski Patrol, his first time running on the main track. In fact, having only ever tried synthetic and turf, cutting back in distance, and he gets the win, Andy.
Yeah. He got a very interesting ride. I mean, he was aggressive, and then he let the 3 go. You almost kind of thought maybe he just was finished, but he came back on, and it turned out to be the right move by Jose, as it turned out. Not being pressed to the inside, angling out, and getting by a horse who, if you had, that was a tough beat with a second-place finisher who really looked like he was home at 9-1, 3-0, but he had to settle for second.
A 3-0 looked to be the winner at the top of the stretch, but it was the #1 Ski Patrol able to run him down late. Your favorite Blue Plate Special, who broke slowly, came running late for third behind passing tired horses. 1-3, 14-5, $8 winner with Ski Patrol getting the victory. We turn our attention now to race 8. This one scheduled on the main track, a $50,000 claiming race for 6 furlongs, 3-year-olds and upward. Linda Rice looks for another one as she will send out the #7 Dots Dollar, taking a drop in class after a disappointing effort last time out. But before that, Andy had been very consistent since she claimed him.
Yeah, no, you know, it's just a question of Linda thinking maybe this horse need a little bit of time off. Claimed him for 50,000, made 130,000 with him, so she's running in the appropriate spot. Did not show up last time, but that was basically a graded stake allowance race last time. I don't think Marsalis, who won that race, has run back.
I don't remember seeing him.
I feel like he has.
We'll see what Dots Dollar can do. And speaking of trainer Linda Rice, looking to pick up another victory today. She's been having another strong year. 5 straight NYRA training titles. Looking to pick up another one. Learn a little bit more about the operation after this.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings right from your phone with NYRA Bats. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with NYRA Bats.
The momentum continues for War Dancer as War Smoke delivers at Finger Lakes.
War Smoke in front, another one for Andre Worry.
Barrage runs down the field at Saratoga.
Here's Barrage with a final surge. Barrage got him.
And Born Dancer goes wire to wire, outlasting all comers.
It's going to get close. Be of Courage coming inside Born Dancer. Photo finish.
Shouldn't you have a War Dancer? War Dancer, proud to stand in New York.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
When I go to the barn in the morning and train horses that I'm excited about running, that's what drives me. Winning races, whether it be a claiming race or a stakes race or a Grade 1 at Saratoga, it's so much more fun than losing. Okay, guys, Jose, I'm ready for the first one. Go ahead. We're going from the half out 5/8. My father, he was a hard worker, and he was very ambitious, instilled a strong work ethic in my 3 brothers and myself, and he had a love for the horses his whole life, and he instilled that in us as well.
It's Double Booked in front.
My first good horse was a horse named Double Booked, a grass horse, when I started training at Monmouth Park, and a filly of my father's named Ready Jet Go. But I would say that City Zip was a very good 2-year-old. I brought him here. He won all 3 2-year-old stakes here.
It's City Zip in front of the 16th. City Zip by 3.
He would be the horse that really helped move me along the path that I am on now. I like to claim a lot of young horses with lightly raised horses that I think have both potential on their pedigree side and, of course, conformation. So that's been a big asset to my claiming, which has been probably in the last 5 years I've been doing more of.
Voodoo Song digs in. Is he going to do it? He is! Voodoo Song won the
York racing is, frankly, it's my home. I've been here for quite a few years. I have gone from a young trainer that was struggling to climb the ladder to being a mainstay in New York. And I think by not diluting my business at different venues, I think it's been helpful for me to be successful right here in New York. I'm all about New York racing. My father always said, well, he didn't want to die in a harness. And I think about that sometimes, but I don't know what my day would be like if I didn't have horses to train or to be around or to be excited about. Linda Rice. I'd like them to say she was one hell of a horse trainer, and she earned it.
And Linda Rice has had a tremendous meet. As we take a look at currently second in the trainer standings now, she's won 5 straight NYRA racing titles, tying with Chad Brown in Saratoga this summer too. Andy, in the barn just hasn't slowed down, which is also remarkable.
And it's getting to the point where Chad Brown is now really trying very hard to make sure he can beat Linda Rice to win a title because Linda's been so dominant. And Linda lives and breathes horse racing, like so many people in racing. But you think about her evolution as a trainer. You know, when she won that Saratoga training title back over 10 years ago, she was considered the queen of the turf sprints, winning a lot of turf sprints. She has very, very few turf sprinters nowadays. She's just changed. She had a lot of 2-year-olds at one time, and she's playing the game differently. And I really give her so much credit for what she did in Kentucky, because she went there the first time and claimed a lot of horses, and she failed. And it's funny, I didn't hear anyone complaining in Kentucky when she was claiming horses and doing lousy. And it wasn't that it was a bad idea, it's just an idea that didn't work out. And she stuck to her plan, and she had success the second year, and then she did a tremendous job last year with it. So much so that they changed the rules, and anyone that says they didn't change the rules because of Linda Rice is kidding themselves or lying.
You must be doing something right if they change the rules because of the success that you've had. There is Linda's charge, Dots Dollar. Now, of course, there is a concern given the fact that he is a horse that always shows up and was disappointing last time out, but you mentioned the quality of the race, and it's also possible that this is a horse who just had several tough races strung together and maybe needed some time, and she backed off after that disappointing effort.
Yeah, no, that's a very reasonable alternative. But I think both the things you said are very true. It's also possible that we're just not going to get that top effort from him, and this is not an easy field. You get a good effort that he's been running, he's going to win this race. But I think you always have to be a little concerned, especially when they're a short price. But to suggest he's not the horse to beat would be frivolous.
He's been a horse that's been very consistent throughout multiple barns and continuing on and dropping back down to the $50,000 level, which is the level at which they claimed him back in October of last year. So just kind of going back to the basics, so to speak. This is him winning 2 back in July over Milton the Monster, who we'll also see in here. Milton has not run since that last effort, which was one of the highest buyer speed figures he's run recently. He is coming back into the 50,000 as well, also the level at which Michelle Nevin claimed him.
And Milton the Monster is 5 for 9 on wet tracks with 3/3. So he likes a wet track, but his last wet track race, he stunk the joint up at 2-1. Now maybe he found the mile a little too far for him, but who knows? Horses are quirky too, and sometimes they get older. They'll like a wet track when they're younger, and they get older and they don't like it anymore. I can't blame them.
I don't blame them either.
I used to not mind the rain. Now I'm a
never liked
crotchety
it,
old
to be
man.
honest.
I never really loved it. Who am I kidding?
2-1 on Dots Dollar. We'll talk more about this 8th race coming up. There is Linda Rice getting ready to saddle her charge. 8th race coming up from Belmont at the Big A after this.
The Run Happies are running, the Run Happies are selling, the Run Happies are winning. Eclipse champion Run Happy is showing a new dimension with winners on turf, dirt, and all weather. A record-breaking sprint champion, Run Happy is also showing winners at all distances.
The son of Run Happy, Nutella Fella, has won the hopeful.
One happy mama wins the Iowa sorority. Run Happy, price for value, and standing strong at Claiborne Farm.
On a perfect day, there is no finer place in all of sports.
Nerves, excitement, and anticipation.
Than beautiful, truly stunning. Breeders' Cup World Championships.
We watched his career. You know, the speed he had was tremendous. So we bought 2 or 3, underbidder on several. Really nice volatile colt in this last sale that I think maybe $600,000. Beautiful colt.
Tom, $600,000. Thank you very much and good luck.
Perfect sire for the 2-year-old sales, and so we'll be bidding against some of our peers, no doubt. So we're looking forward to it. We like a little competition. You know, it's fun.
At Keeneland, a horse will always be measured in hands. Hands that see, that sense, that speak. Hands that hold our sport to a higher standard. Not for our sake, but for theirs. For the love of the horse, for generations to come.
He loved racing. My wife, Tammy, always called it his vice. It was a hobby for him, but he loved it.
Longtime owner and racing enthusiast, B. Wayne Hughes, acquired Spendthrift, a storied thoroughbred farm located outside Lexington, Kentucky, in 2004. He expanded his involvement in the sport, switching his focus from the racetrack to the farm.
And then when he bought the farm, everything changed because he couldn't help himself because he's a businessman. He was a genius, really. First time I came to the farm, it was not in great shape at the time. It was quite a fixer-upper, so I was not that impressed, frankly. And Wayne set about bringing it to where it is now, which is worlds away from where we started.
Hughes knew how to run a successful business as co-founder and CEO of Public Storage. He made the Forbes 400, a list of the wealthiest people in America.
He was so innovative, he was disruptive. He was not interested in how things were always done. He wanted to do something differently, sometimes just to try to see if it was worth it. And then he was always willing to be wrong. He was a champion for the little guy.
Eric Gustafson learned about horse racing from Hughes. Eric would join his mentor and father-in-law in the day-to-day business, striving to return Spendthrift back to its glory days.
And then we have what we consider the best stallion in the country in Into Mischief. I remember being at the track with Wayne at Hollywood Park when he won the Grade 1 Futurity. And Wayne turned to me and said, "Oh, we got ourselves a stallion." And neither one of us, obviously, at the time could have known what that meant.
On November 1st, 2022, Hughes' vision of building a fan-centric destination became a reality.
Wayne died unfortunately, it was a year or so before we got to open the visitor center. We were in the construction process. We were thankful for the opportunity to name it after him and an opportunity for my wife and I and the rest of us, the team at Spendthrift, to honor the man that made it all possible.
Located between the Farm Stallion Complex and the main office doors is the B. Wayne Hughes Visitor Center. The 7,000 square foot, 2-floor facility features a trophy room, artifacts, and racing's memorabilia. The second you open the door, there's Authentic's Kentucky Derby glory built into a colorful display in the floor. You'll also find the Spendthrift collection in the gift shop with apparel that'll rival your favorite campus bookstore.
I think he would love it. He would be enthralled with it. He'd be really proud of it. And then he would say, "How much did this cost?"
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races, as now we have an America's Best Racing pumpkin.
And
check out
there's a
AmericasBestRacing.net.
Belmont, the Big A pumpkin.
Yeah.
Did those go bad too?
No, those are out in the front, I believe.
Okay. Because I worked really hard carving those out. I don't want to make a big deal about it, but it took me a long time to do that.
Did it?
Yeah, it
you
really
have a
did.
secret talent.
Yeah, I'm really good with
Did
that
you,
stuff. I shouldn't be allowed around any sharp objects.
We should
Who
do
did
we
those?
should do like a paint and sip, but with pumpkins.
Okay. who carved those?
I don't know, but they're here every year, right? Aren't they?
Did Ernie do that?
I think they're here every year.
Oh, okay.
I vaguely remember seeing those in the past because I liked them. Yeah.
Okay.
But they're pretty cool.
I'm all about pumpkins.
Yeah, I love fall. 7 to 5 on Dots Dollar as we get ready for this 8th race coming up. Maggie, did you and the girls carve a pumpkin this year?
No, but I've allowed them to paint pumpkins. I find that once you carve them, the squirrels do come and eat them, and the paint actually keeps them away, Acacia. As a couple years ago when Willow was learning to talk, we had bought pumpkins, and we'd come back from a walk, and there was a squirrel eating it, and she freaked out. And because she couldn't say squirrel, she called it a mouse. And so now squirrels are referred to as a mouse in our household, which is quite funny because I've never seen her so angry, and it was just the tip of the iceberg for Willow's ill temper. As we'll take a look at some horses here in this field. Reclaim for Rudy Rodriguez with the 1, Gemography, as he'll come out of a race in which he was beaten by Swiftsure, who would come back and win again here at the Big A, posting a 98 buyer, and he dueled inside of the eventual winner early and kind of got shuffled back on the turn and just kind of stayed on evenly. But I thought it was intriguing to see Rudy go back in for this horse and put his own money up for him, as well as he's co-owner here with Michael Imperio et al. And he looks fantastic. I've always thought that this horse has looked his best when going out for Rudy. We'll see. He's not one that can handle a wet track, but doesn't necessarily love it. A little bit of a bigger, heavier type. As we'll move on to the 1A, Milton the Monster, who is a monster when it comes to handling wet tracks. And you can see, for a bigger type of horse, he actually has smaller feet and kind of very up and down type of feet. There's no angle really to his hoof wall whatsoever. And those types do really tend to get over this surface quite well, which it's actually not raining anymore, but certainly the damage has been done. Now, Milton, I've always thought that a little bit more ground might be preferable for him, as he has won at this 6 furlong distance, but I just feel like he's best at 7. 7 is really, truly his gig. He almost got up and got the job done going to 6.5 last time, but then we haven't seen him, and he does look fit enough coming back here. Coat is rich and hydrated, but again, just a little concerned with the time away from the races / the slight turn back, as well as he was beaten by Dots Dollar, and actually very familiar with several horses in here, as has been trained half the field. Dots Dollar, definitely my favorite of those. Dottie is small in stature, but big in heart, and he does tend to, really put it out on the line, really is a true kind of racehorse. Now, I've seen him be a little bit perkier here in the paddock. He's just pretty quiet here today. Granted, it is that kind of day. He does look fit coming back, dappled head to toe, but just have seen him, if I'm gonna split hairs at a short price, Acacia, I've seen him look and present himself just a tad better than what he is here today.
All right, Maggie, thank you. We'll see how that plays out for Dots Dollar, as overall he's been a consistent runner, but again, coming off of that poor performance and maybe not acting how he usually is, could be some questions that he has to answer in here. But Andy, Dots Dollar, dropping in class, yes, that is sometimes the question. Sometimes we'll see Linda be aggressive with horses, but usually not off of a poor performance like that.
Yeah, I mean, I picked against him because I just didn't want to take him as the favorite, all things considered. I have no argument with him as the horse to beat. And the one thing about Linda Rice, in general, listen, no trainer is infallible, but their horses will usually run when they take money, as we saw in the last race with the 1 who took so much money. I don't have a knock on him, and I don't. It's also not a negative drop. And we've seen her make big drop downs. And you think about that one, was it yesterday or 2 days ago, that won for 14,000, that she claimed for 75. Yes. It didn't work out, and she ran for 14, it won. Of course, won by a head and was lucky to win. Shouldn't have won, was actually second best. Anybody that's saying it was a drop, she dropped the race, the horse could win. And the horse got claimed, and she's better off moving on from it. She claimed this horse 50,000, made $130,000 in less than a year. I don't know if somebody's going to claim today. If they do, she did very, very well, win or lose. I think she's very good at running her horses where they can win, and that's what most winning trainers do.
You have to spot your horse as well. It's like the old racing adage, keep yourself in the best of company and your horses in the worst of company.
Yeah, no, it's, and it's, yes, occasionally a trainer will get overly aggressive with drop. You might see it in Saratoga when Chad Brown or Todd Fletcher are trying to win races, but for the most part, there aren't that many that get claimed those drop downs and end up being terrible losses, and they're more than made up by the ones that aren't.
Usually dropping for a reason and trying to put them in a spot where they can be effective.
I remember Chad Brown won with a drop down in Saratoga, and Rudy Rodriguez claimed it, and I was with Chad Brown, and Rudy asked the race, did I get away? Did I steal one there? And Chad looked at him and said, no.
We'll see what happens here. Speaking of Rudy Rodriguez, a reclaim for this one. Here's Gemography.
Yeah, I think they're betting both halves, maybe a little bit more in the 1A because he likes a wet track, but it's not like Gemography doesn't have credentials.
Speaking of the 1A, here he is, Milton the Monster.
He's a little hit or miss. He ran very well, but he too, we haven't seen him since he lost to Dots Dollar, taking advantage of a meltdown that day.
Breaking from the rail, here's the 2. Think about it.
I like Think About It for Ray Handel. He ran very well with real trouble 2 back, and then last time kind of got run off his feet.
Into the Sunrise, goes turf to dirt.
Yeah, this is his first time in the dirt since his debut where he did no running.
Emerald Forest dropping in class.
Turning the music up over there.
It feels like we're
excited.
like a rave over here or
Just
something.
off his recent form, he's just a little slow, but not impossible.
Royal Trust does like a wet track.
He likes a wet track, but not fast enough to beat these in all likelihood.
Here's the 7, Dots Dollar, your favorite.
Runs his good races, and we were just talking about it. He's bred by St. Elias Stable for Vinny Viola. Let's notice that.
The 8 is out. Here's the 9, Jake Rocks.
When did the 8 scratch?
I don't know. Yeah.
Jake Rocks has just been off form. I don't like his recent form.
He was on a tear at one
was.
point, looking to turn things around with the drop in class today.
He was also winning a lot of races when Rob Atras was on fire.
Yes, when the barn was going well.
Yeah. But he's tailed off in his last couple starts since being claimed.
He was like one of your pets, wasn't he, Jake Rocks?
He was when he never
off?
won for Dave Dunk.
Yeah.
As soon as he started winning, I kept running second to him. I only liked him when they lose, Acacia. Once they start winning, I'm done.
Now you're done.
Yes,
All right.
I had a lot of love for Jake Rocks.
That's why you like risk-free.
Well, everybody loves risk-free. I mean, how can you gotta love the risk-frees of the world.
She's very honest. You gotta love a horse
totally
like
cool.
that. Yes. 9 to 5 on Dots Dollar. The number 2, Think About It. We're looking on the screen right here. This is a horse who ran on a wet track last time out. Did have significant trouble, too, back at Saratoga when he won.
Yep.
Just couldn't reach the top 2 last time.
Yeah, he ran super 2 back when he won. Now, he was on the rail, which was good, but he was badly interfered with by the eventual third-place finisher. And actually, Flavien Prat got days for that.
That's right.
As he came over around a quarter mile of the race and came over on him. And Dylan had to steady very hard. He ran extremely well at a big price. And then last time, I don't think it was that bad an effort. He certainly handled the wet track up there. Just kind of got run off his feet as Prisoner was just sort of ran the field at feet. Well, they're really ramping it up over there at that party.
Yeah, the music is coming in hot. There was some clapping going on over
there's a
there
lot
to the
going
beat.
on.
Yeah. I think it's somebody's birthday, we figured out. We heard happy birthday being sung over there.
It's always somebody's birthday. I think Maggie should make an appearance at that party after this race.
We're going to see Maggie and Kendrick over there afterwards.
Bring Kendrick.
What do you say, Max?
Kendrick and I have hosted a party before together, actually, to benefit the TRF, where he cooked some gumbo. So I'm game, although they were quite raucous out on the balcony. So I can only imagine what they're doing in there now, guys. But just to stay off Andy's turf, I'm going to let him have number 2, Think About It. But I think he looks fantastic here for Ray Handel, who is kind of hitting his groove and his stride yet again. And if anything, Andy, I mean, you can disagree with me, but basing this analysis off of your track trend notes, that I think he was kind of against the track last time too. It was a day you wanted speed and to be on the rail, and he was chasing out wide the entire way and still ran pretty darn well. So looks good here yet again. I think he is going to be a major factor in this race. But I opted for Gemography. Just thought the reclaim was interesting and thought he looked the part too. Guys.
All right, Maggie, thank you.
I had that written down. I just ignored it. Thank you, Maggie.
Oh, yeah. So you agree with Maggie?
Yeah, no, I had it written down. I'm so enamored by the music going on over to our right.
You can't see it, but Andy's actually dancing in his seat right now.
Head right
it's
over
an amazing sight.
Get involved.
Race 8 coming up, Belmont at the Big A. Here's Chris Griffin.
and they're off, broken a very even line. Speed from in between horses. Here comes Milton the Monster, is going to apply some pressure to Into the Sunrise. Into the Sunrise is in front, is now clear, kicks on. It's going to be Gemography who's tracking in second. Out wider there is Emerald Forest. Up on the far outside, making a move here is Jake Rocks. That's the leading four. Just off of them is Think About It. They're followed by Dots Dollar. There's Milton the Monster starting to progress, but it's far, far, far back to the trailer there. The trailer is going to be Royal Triss, the late runner. On the front end, it's Into the Sunrise, who's up by a length and a half. At the rail, here's Gemography, is trying to make that run now. Has some clear running room in those blue blinkers. Is following Emerald Forest, who's in the three-path. Jake Rocks is out wider. In behind them, Milton the Monster, and we just had a horse spill there. The clipped heels, we had a horse go down. That was Jake Rocks. Do have Kendra Carmouche. He is down. So we reached the top of the stretch here with a furlong left to go. That's Into the Sunrise, who's in front. To the inside here is Think About It. Also running on there, Milton the Monster. Gemography is in that mix. It's going to be a tight finish. It's Emerald Forest up on the grandstand side. It will be Gemography who gets the win. Think About It's in a photo there with Emerald Forest. Then came the late run there from Milton the Monster. Also Into the Sunrise. Jake Rocks is running freely. Loose Horse is running freely on the track. Also see Kendra Carmouche is right back up. He's standing on his feet. And he's being helped, but he is back up on his feet and walking towards the ambulance now.
Thank you so much, Chris, for that update. That's great news to see Kendrick Carmouche on his feet. And from our vantage point here on the third floor, could see Jake Rocks running and attempting to be apprehended by the outrider. As there is Kendrick Carmouche on his feet. Some good news. It was the #1 Gemography, your unofficial winner of race 8. We'll bring you more after this on America's Day at the Races.
$250,260. First time I saw Epicenter was a Keeneland September sale, and he went immediately from there to my parents' place in Laredo, Texas. So I was fortunate to be involved with him early on. He was somebody we were always extremely high on physically. He was capable of speed, but it was quite obvious the further they went, the better off he would be. He had won the preps gate to wire going into the Louisiana Derby, and it was an opportunity to show another dimension of him, and he handled it extremely professionally and developed that style from there.
It's Epicenter, who's kicked away now. Epicenter wins the Louisiana Derby.
With his talent level, we were always hoping and thinking classics, and him being the one. The times that he yielded, the numbers that he put down late in his 2-year-old year, early 3-year-old year is as good as it gets. Quite obvious, the Derby and the Preakness and how, the outcome of that being frustrating. But if anything, Epicenter showed a grittiness, toughness, didn't let any of that hurt his feelings, and rebounded with emphatic victories and showed exactly how good he could be.
And he's the center of attention now. Epicenter comes from off the pace to win the Jim Dandy Stakes. Epicenter in front, and he is at the top of the 3-year-old class. Epicenter with a very top-notch finish in the Run Happy Travers.
He separates himself. His mental strength, physical strength, always looked tremendous on the racetrack. Every time you breezed him, worked him. The brilliance that can come along with Giants Causeway. It's not lost on me that gun runners out of a Giants Causeway mare, when they are good, they're better than everybody else.
You're watching America's Day at the Races, brought to you by Naira Bet. You can bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Get started at nairabets.com or download the app today. Thanks for joining us as we take a look at the #1 Gemography heading into the winner's circle for the 8th race. It is still unofficial, Andy, and it's very tough to tell. Now, we did see the #9, Jake Rocks, throughout the running of the race, unseat jockey Kendrick Carmouche. Jake Rocks crossed the line and was apprehended by the outrider. Well, let's go down to Maggie for an update.
Yeah, Acacia, Jake Rocks did sustain a cut to his upper forearm, so he is going to get a ride back on the equine ambulance, but that was it for him. Now, Kendrick Carmouche, we did see bounce up to his feet. He has been taken down to first aid, I think, to be checked out. Obviously, the way that he went down, we have to make sure he didn't sustain a concussion or anything like that. So still waiting word on Kendrick's overall status, but do know that he was up and is being looked at here at first aid at the Big A.
That's some good news, Maggie. Thank you. As they were taking a look, the stewards, at this race for quite a bit, Andy, I'm sure in order to make sure that it was not the fault of any other runner in the field for Jake Rocks, who throughout the running, it kind of looked like he slipped almost a little bit in unseating Kendrick Carmouche. Things did get pretty tight in there, and it was hard to tell from our vantage point, but it looks like the inquiry sign has been taken down, but is still unofficial as of now.
Yeah, but they've taken the inquiry down, so I guess there won't be any change in here.
So that'll be 3 wins today for jockey Jose Lezcano, who was aboard the #1 Gemography. It was a bit of a trouble trip for the two. Think about it. We'll take a quick time out. We'll continue on with the live racing from Aqueduct. We'll be sprinting on the main track in the upcoming 9th race as we do see the rain having stopped, which is some good news, and we'll get ready for a fun dirt sprint coming up next after this on America's Day at the Races.
And they're off. Power pretty close up in the early stages as the field approaches the quarter pole, and it's Gunite trying to fend off Elite Power, who's motoring like a big chestnut tank on the outside, and Elite Power Giovanni in 109.22 seconds.
Herman, the classic sire.
Kentucky October Yearlings. Over 1,600 cataloged, featuring yearlings by every major sire in North America. Recent Grade 1 winners include Eclipse Champion and Breeders' Cup Champion Goodnight Olive, and multiple Grade 1 winner Taba, plus these recent graded stakes winners. Your last chance to buy yearlings in 2023. Kentucky October Yearlings, October 23rd through the 26th at Fasig-Tipton in Lexington, Kentucky. Where will you be?
Aqueduct is the only racetrack within the confines of the 5 boroughs of New York City and faced intense competition from several other tracks located in the vicinity. True to its nature, the racetrack not only survived, but thrived. Aqueduct underwent an extensive 3-year overhaul and reopened on September 15, 1959, to much fanfare, as it was one of the most modern facilities of its kind. In 1960, Aqueduct presented its first Wood Memorial. The race is New York's premier prep race for the Triple Crown and remains one of the track's signature events, along with the Cigar Mile Handicap and Remsen Stakes. Aqueduct was the first and only track to have a triple dead heat win in a stakes race when Brownie, Bousset, and Wait a Bit hit the wire in tandem. In 1965, it was the site of the largest crowd ever to witness a thoroughbred race at that time in the Empire State, when more than 73,000 packed the stands to see Gunbow in the Metropolitan Mile. The legendary Cigar began his famous 16-race win streak at Aqueduct. He scored impressively in the 1994 Naira Mile as part of that win streak. The race was named in Cigar's honor after he retired in 1997. The last racetrack Secretariat placed his hooves upon was Aqueduct. He was retired there before commencing his stud career at Claiborne Farm. Aqueduct was the second track to host the Breeders' Cup in 1985 and was one of the first sporting venues where Pope John Paul II held Mass in 1995.
Aqueduct has so much history and has been our winter home now for many years, and right now our year-round home, Andy, with Belmont Park being under construction. So much history here, so much has happened at Aqueduct Racetrack throughout the years.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. We showed up when the Pope was at Aqueduct. I think that's actually the last Saturday it didn't rain here at Aqueduct.
Is it possible? Just because of the Pope's visit.
Yeah, the Pontiff kept it away. But I remember when he was here. But I want to say we were in Saratoga. Not sure, but I feel like we may have been in Saratoga. But I've said this before. I was talking about yesterday. My first time at Aqueduct was my first time at a track in New York outside of Saratoga was Aqueduct in '74.
So much has happened here and throughout history, as mentioned, as we take a look back in time at the 1985 Breeders' Cup Sprint, won by Precisionist here at Aqueduct.
Okay, beating Mount Livermore. That's Smile, who won the Breeders' Cup, I think, the next year, the sprint.
Yeah.
He's in the middle. I don't know if Scotty Shulver trained him then. He was a Franz Jenner horse. On the rail is Mount Livermore, who's a very, very good sprinter for Wayne Lucas. And there came Precisionist, who was a tremendous racehorse. And he actually lost, I think, the Marlboro to Turkoman the next year. But he could win Grade 1s going short and going long, as evidenced here by winning this Breeders' Cup Sprint. He was a tremendous racehorse owned by Fred Hooper. I'm guessing trained by Fenstermacher.
I love when you do things like that.
I think so. I was not at this Breeders' Cup, believe it or not. I was in Richmond, Virginia, seeing the Grateful Dead. And I will say that it's one of the greatest Grateful Dead shows of all time.
So you're not upset that you
Well, it was a
missed the
great
Breeders' Cup
run.
for it,
I went to the 2 shows at the Fox Theater in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And then we went up to South Carolina for Halloween. And then the 2 nights in Richmond. So I missed the Breeders' Cup. We hung out in the hotel, though, and watched the races. Stormcat Capita knows I'm still bitter about it.
I was not born yet.
Yeah, it was terrible. I love Stormcat.
Like we said, we love Aqueduct, and we'll see who will be victorious in this year's Breeders' Cup Sprint, as we'll have a little budding rivalry. We saw them go head-to-head a couple times in Saratoga, one winning one big one, the other one winning another, and that's Elite Power and Gun Knight, 2 very talented dirt sprinters.
Right. Obviously, we are all extremely disappointed about the injury for Echo Zulu, which will keep her out of this race, and she would have been favored and the horse to beat. We hope she's okay, though. Scheduled for surgery today, I think.
Today.
So hopefully, she ends up being okay. That's the most important thing, but it does change this race quite a bit. Now the Connections still have Gunite, and it'll change things a lot. Have we had a back-to-back Breeders' Cup Sprint winner?
That I don't know. Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's a...
Yeah.
There haven't been that many back-to-back Breeders' Cup winners, period,
No,
right?
not an easy thing to do.
No, it's a tough thing to do, and I don't know that we've had one in the sprint. But Elite Power might be favored to do just that.
Yeah, see if he can do it. We'll go head-to-head with Gunite once again, as we see Gunite winning in the forego at Saratoga last time out. Got the jump on him. Elite Power was victorious over Gunite in the previous meeting on a wet track. Shocker.
Are there any? Who could be the competition?
Those two do seem to be the big names.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there anybody in California that matches up to them. I don't feel as though the sprinters are there, and they're kind of fragile. And Echo Zulu, who really felt like, to me, she's the best horse I saw race this year in America. I think Cody's Wish best race, very, very good in the Met Mile, but I thought the brilliance of Echo Zulu at Saratoga. To me, if somebody said to me, tell me the best horse you saw doing what they do, I would say it was Echo Zulu.
Yeah, she was incredible in that victory at Saratoga this summer. So we will be thinking all the best thoughts for her, and hopefully she will be okay after that training injury that she did sustain the other morning. As we turn our attention over now to race 9.
2 of them.
2.
Roy H. and Midnight Loop, who won in synthetic.
Midnight Loop.
Joey
Midnight
Migliore
Loop, I
checking in.
never would have guessed.
Should have gotten him. His forego win over Benny the Bull, got a 124 buyer. He was a monstrous talent and a monstrous racehorse too. Roy H. Well, that's one I wouldn't have gotten.
Well, we get ready for race 9 coming up next. 6 furlongs on the main track. Strobe currently 2-1 as he looks to get back on track for Brad Cox. Kendrick Carmouche cleared to ride, which is good news. We'll be aboard the favorite coming up here in the 9th. Stay with us on America's Day at the Races.
It's a domineering display by the ultra-talented McKenzie.
McKenzie in a dominant performance.
200 right there. 1,200,000. 25, 550. Mitchell, 550,000. And now 500. And 500,000. Thank you. 450. 75. 475,000.
There are more than 3,500 reasons buyers came to Keeneland November last year. Because as you look to the future, this is where you'll find whatever you're looking for. And then some. And then some more. The place you have to be to find the one you have to have. Join us as the world comes to Keeneland, November 8th through the 16th. Browse the catalog at november.keeneland.com.
City of Light, a multiple Grade 1 winner with $5.6 million in earnings. Winner of the Grade 1 Malibu, the Grade 1 Triple Bend, the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, posting a 110 buyer, and the Grade 1 Pegasus World Cup, posting a 112 buyer. The best son to date of leading stallion Quality Road, City of Light stands to continue his sire's legacy at Lane's End.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
You're watching America's Day at the Races, and we love getting a chance to see these pumpkins. Belmont at the Big A. Meet continues on this Saturday afternoon. Feature race coming up as we have, well, I should say co-features. Of course, we had the stakes earlier in the card, but this is the feature main track race. Nice allowance, going 6 furlongs with some horses that have been in stakes company, and the favorite right now is Strobe. He obviously has ability, running 3 triple-digit Beyer speed figures, but we'll have to turn things around off that bad effort last time out. For more, let's get a paddock report from Maggie.
Yeah, checking in with Strobe in here, Acacia, as he's been pretty lackluster in, or I should say, in that last race where he just caved. I mean, had no response to Bango and Gulfstream Way as they blew by him in the stretch and really wasn't persevered with, coming in off of a 3-month layoff. But looking at him here, 2-month, looking at him here, I like what I see. Now, this is a horse I've never seen before. He has run in New York, obviously running and competing in the True North and finishing 3rd that day. But he's very much of that Into Mischief ilk. Just looks exactly like his sire. Here for Brad Cox, who looks as though he's strong, he's fit, he's got a bright disposition to him, and good news too with Kendra Carmouche being clear to ride and will be aboard this one here, as we'll check in with the speedy number 1A Durante, as he's looking for 5 wins, in a row. When I saw him 2-back in Saratoga, he had gotten kind of hot and washy and seemed like kind of a nervous type. That could have very well been Saratoga. And Acacia, I don't know if it was you or Richie in the paddock on September 16th, but today he is a completely different horse. He's very quiet, very relaxed. Obviously, it's cool, so he's not hot or washy or anything. But if anything, I would opt to say that he looks better, but is different than 2-back with that win. As we'll also check in with Provocateur, who is 3rd off of the layoff here for Bill Mott. Now, when he competed in that Marsalis race, he was coming back off of layoff. Now, he's a horse that can be a little bit of a bad actor, especially when they get close to the gate. Now, he was fairly fired up coming into that race up at the Spa, but he kind of kept a lid on it, which I liked, and I thought it was a step forward with that age and maturity. Now he's 3rd off the bench. He looks even more fit and more defined. He's also very, very relaxed here in the paddock so far, Acacia, which I like to see with him. And if he can run back to that race first off the bench, he's a legitimate player here.
Provocateur, 7-1, a generous price. Maggie, thank you. And quickly going back to Durante, who she touched on, I was in the paddock for his last race, and he was not hot at all. He looked terrific that day. And yes, he was beating Vittorio, Andy, who's not a winning type, but Durante just absolutely crushed that field.
Oh, he's in sensational form, Durante. To deny the kind of form that he's in right now would be foolish. And you talk about some lack of consistency for David Jacobson. Well, he's won 4 straight races and 3 for David. He's got to deal with Strobe, but Strobe's got to deal with him, too.
He has that early speed and didn't really lunge last time out, hopped a little bit at the start, but was not taken out of his game and still able to use that forward position. Take a quick pause to welcome in our FS2 audience. Stay with us on America's Day at the Races. watching America's Day at the Races, brought to you by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Thanks for rejoining us on our FS2 coverage. We've been going all afternoon, but glad to have all of you back with us. We're here at the Belmont at the Big A Meet live from South Ozone Park, New York at Aqueduct Racetrack. Has been a rainy and overcast day. We're off the turf, but luckily it does look to be that the rain has subsided a little bit as Acacia Camon and Andy Sterling join you. And Andy, we're coming up on this 9th race here, which is a dirt sprint scheduled for the main track and a very competitive race.
I agree. I think this is a terrific race. I mean, obviously the weather is really wreaked havoc on the meeting here at Aqueduct every Saturday. 4 straight, it's rained. But this was a very, very good race, and the field held up. You've got a horse that's a stakes quality horse in Strobe. He's got to deal with the speed, an incredibly good current form from Durante. Gunnet, a horse who could sit a good trip behind him in good form for Linda Rice. And I like the 7 Provocatore. I think he'll stalk and get a good trip. He's third off a layoff. These are some talented sprinters. These are state quality sprinters in this race.
We'll see who could potentially get the win in here today as we'll take a look at what is still to come. Today's remaining races presented by Claiborne Farm. Sloppy main track and off the turf. The 9th race scheduled on the dirt. The 10th race off the turf for those New York bred 2-year-olds. As I want to remind everybody, you can play along with all of the action by joining Naira Bets today and earn up to a $200 deposit match bonus. Sign up using promo code MATCH200 and you could earn up to a $200 deposit match right after your first deposit. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Join now at NairaBets.com for your $200 deposit match. Here's a look at the field for the 9th race. Again, sprinting on the main track, and this is for 3-year-olds and upward. Right now, Strobe continues to be your favorite at 2-1. He ran 3 consecutive triple-digit Beyer speed figures, Andy, but does have to prove that he still has it in him today.
I know he was involved in the fast pace last time in a good field, but he was bad in there. The horse who won, and Bengo's good, but he sat second, so it's not like the race fell apart. This is 2 back when he lost at 20 cents the dollar to a horse named Ultimate. He got 100 Beyer speed figure Ultimate, but Ultimate before that had run 72 and 80 Beyer speed figures, and then ran the 100, and then came back with a 90. I have trouble with this race. I don't like when a horse like that loses at 1-5 in Iowa, a race he was able to get clear in. And the fact that he's got to deal with an in-form and very, very quick Durante could make his job difficult in here. He's got the back for him. He's stake-faced, as we say. He's faced some good ones, but I want others in here. You disagree. I know you like Strobe in this race.
But I still think that he has some things to prove. I wouldn't say he's a horse that you could trust completely in this spot. As far as the 1A Durante, he's a horse that, as Maggie Wolfendale was touching on previously, very hot in Saratoga, and he's a little bit of a high-headed runner. He's very relaxed last time out, and while he did leap up a little bit after being antsy in the gate, he was still forwardly placed, and he just absolutely ran away from a solid field that did include Provocateur.
Right, but to be fair, no, he wasn't in the race with Provocateur.
Oh, no, you're right. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
This is a tougher bunch that he's facing, and you can say that Strobe has to deal with the speed of Durante, but Durante may have to deal with the speed of Strobe. It works both ways. It's not as necessarily easy for him. So the question is, if you feel those 2 horses could potentially compromise each other in here, who do you like? And I think the 2 logical ones are Gunnet, who's not a real winning type, just the 4 wins and 35 starts with 10 seconds, 7 thirds. But it does feel like he's run very well since Linda Rice claimed him off Steve Asmussen, and she's done well claiming from Steve Asmussen, which I'm sure makes him very happy. And then there's Provocateur, who I think should be in a good stalking spot, and I like him third off a layoff. I thought he ran very well coming off a 10-month layoff. Good field. Tough position, chasing inside, made another rally in there, and then last time took a little bit of a step back, but he still ran okay in a very solid field. And I thought, now, good post on the outside, third off a layoff, ready to run his best race. If Provocateur is good enough to win a race like this, today is the day he can show it.
And I'm sorry, I was confusing those 2 races. Provocateur last time out was chasing 3 wide in a race that ended up being won by New York Traffic, who was coming off a big layoff and was very impressive winning that race. That said, Provocateur, it's possible, third off the layoff, that this is when you'll get a chance to see his best effort and also his third time with Belmont.
And in fairness to you, Acacia, I think you were thrown because the music finally stopped at the party that's been going on for the last 3 hours.
There was a fiesta going on over
So
here
I think
up
that
in
the
the
music stopping
Equestrian
just totally
restaurant.
threw us off our
Yes,
limited game that we have to begin with.
Very true. Very true. As 7-2 on Gunnett, who is heading out now, that Tappet son, who we last saw trying the Vanderbilt. And he ran okay. I mean, he was running behind Elite Power and Gun Knight for sure, but I thought he ran very well 2 starts back.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, he got a good trip that day, but those are nice horses, Nova Rags and Secret Rules. I thought he ran well in there, and I think he's Steven ran pretty well on the turf. He's been in good form for Linda.
Let's meet the field, starting things off with the 1A Durante, looking for 5 in a row.
Yeah, and he's in great form. If you want the horse that's in the best form coming the race, it's him.
Here is the number 2, Cowan.
A little tough taking on Cody's Wish the other day. This horse going way back, has some decent races.
3, Strobe, no longer your favorite. That's now Durante.
Yeah, listen, Brad Cox is always so dangerous shipping here. Limited starters, but they've all been running well.
Next will be the 4, Swill, won a 3-horse field last time.
Yeah, Brittany Russell does not have the same kind of success. She's 11% at Naira, where she's a much higher percentage out of town.
Gunnett, who we were just talking about.
I thought he could get a very good trip. He's not a big winning type, but I think he's dangerous.
Here's 7 Nation Army, first off the claim for Charlie Baker.
He was no match whatsoever for Durante in his last start, but he ran well in the time before that. He's off the claim for Charlie, as you said.
Provocateur for Bill Mott coming up next.
I made my case for Provocateur. I'm betting him. He's the horse, one of the few horses I really like today.
He's 5-1, still a pretty generous price. And Scaramouche to the outside.
He'd have to get back to his fastest races last year. He did upset the field, though, when he beat Runnin' Son of a Gun when he won the Gallant Bob. So he is a graded stakes winner, but his recent form leaving a little be desired.
Let's see how it pans out. He's 18-1 right now. The number 5, Gunnett, will go back over to him. And this is a horse who mentioned, I mean, he tried the Grade 1 Vanderbilt last time out, but 2 races back. This is on June 22nd when we did see him take over, being off the pace 3 wide, and took over and kicked away pretty impressively.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this was a good effort by him, and these are the kind of races that he got the kind of good trip you need to win, but he could get a very good trip in this race as well. So, he could get, I mean, in a lot of ways, he could get exactly that kind of trip, right?
He's a horse. It's funny. I was just looking through my notes when Steve Asmussen had him, and he didn't used to do it at the start, but he started doing this weird thing when he would switch leads. Do you remember this about him? This was last year, and he would almost like bolt and throw his head up. And it was almost like he would pull himself up. And he had to be a completely infuriating horse for Steve Asmussen. And I don't know what it was, but I had it in my notes. He did it several times last year. And obviously, whatever was going on, they were able to remedy. But it wasn't something he had done at the beginning. And he would kind of throw his head up and awkwardly switch leads and bolt in or out. So he's a bit of a tricky horse.
He was 3 for 31 for Steve Asmussen, who's one of the best trainers in the game, and he's running buyer speed figures in the 90s. Horses like that have to be incredibly frustrating trainers because they're good enough to win races, and for whatever reason, and you talk about one of the main reasons, he's just unable to get the job done.
He's 3-1 right now. For more, let's go back to Maggie.
Yeah, and he's only made a fraction of his $2.6 million sales price. But taking a look at him out on the racetrack, he definitely wins the warm-up contest at least. Looks as though he's handling this very wet surface that he's getting for the 2nd time in a row. No shocker there. And Acacia is right about that. I noticed, and I never saw him that frequently when Steve had him, but Linda has equipped him with a ring bit, and he seems to just be a little bit more level-headed about all of that. And I wondered, too, obviously he has talent, but he was often worked with all the best horses in Steve's barn, the graded stakes winning type, and sometimes that'll rip a heart out of a horse, and, maybe just getting to the new barn, it's, breathe new life into him. He looks great out there, but one horse that I agree with Andy. Brittany Russell's numbers here at Naira aren't as great. And two, to be fair, I think you could call that a 2-horse race last time that he won down at Pimlico. But my eye just kept going back to him. I think he looks fantastic. I think Brittany's trying to strike when the iron's hot with a horse that I don't know if he's improving, if he's as good as these on his best day, but it feels like he's at least doing very well, Acacia, which could get him a piece of this underneath.
And he's a generous price at 10-1. Maggie, thank you. Heading towards the gate. Final thoughts, Andy?
I really like Provocateur. I mean, I've been waiting to bet him all day, and I'm happy to take my swing with him. We'll see what happens. Good race.
Best of luck. Sloppy main track coming up. Fun 9th race. Here's Chris Griffin standing by with the call.
Scaramouche goes in. All set. And they're off. Good speed from in between horses. There is Swill. Also, Strobe is in that early mix. And Durante. Durante and now Strobe. They're 1-2 head and head as they work up the backstretch. Off of them is going to be Swill. Is out in the center of the racetrack. Is in the 4-path, but is tracking in third. Scaramouche is very wide as well. Losing some ground was Provocateur. Gets shuffled back to second to last. Gets passed to the inside here by Cowan. Is also traveling there with 7 Nation Army. And from the back, that's Gunnet, the gray. Who's the trailer? 22 seconds flat. Pumped up opening quarter here, and Strobe has got pressure from Durante towards the outside. Well out in the center of the racetrack still is Swill, and Swill is on the move. 3 wide is coming after the leaders now. Tucked in behind them, Jose Gomez is looking for a way through with Cowan, is tracking in fourth. Looks to have some horse, but nowhere to go yet. A quarter mile left to go. It's Strobe who's got the lead. Strobe now kicks for home. The rail opens up for Cowan if good enough. Also, here comes the run up on the outside from Durante, and Swill down the center of the racetrack. Gunnet is trying to rally on from the back of the field. Down at the rail, it's Cowan who had a nice trip, and Cowan is in front. Trying to run on as Durante, and Gunnet now dives down towards the inside. Swill is still in as well. Inside the final 16th, Cowan, Durante down the line. Cowan to the inside, Durante to the outside. Photo! Looked like Cowan by a nose. It's a tight photo there with Durante. Also running on was Gunnet. Looked like Cowan, but it's a photo in today's 9th.
Photo finish in the 9th, but it looks like the 2 Cowan got his nose down first at 36-1. Andy, big price for a horse that, look, he had races on the go back and just hadn't been running them recently.
I don't know what to say.
I'm trying here.
Congrats if you had Cowan. He, to me, is really impossible to make. He had never really run a race on the dirt that was fast enough to win this race. He obviously liked the going here. A very strange race from Durante. It looked like he was quitting, and he came back on and lost the photo to Cowan. Being right on the rail might not help the 5. I don't know why Provocateur lost so much position early, but he didn't even finish at all in this race, so maybe he didn't handle the track. He's better than that. A very strange race, and this would be one where I tip my hat to you if you had Cowan, and he is going to absolutely blow up all multi-race bets because he's probably 50-1 in those.
That's for sure. 36-1 on the number 2 Cowan. Coming up the inside, it was 2-1A, 5-4. Yeah, Durante looked like, and he is a little bit of a high-headed runner, but he looked like he was spinning his wheels.
Weird.
Manny Franco was really working on him. And then when Strobe started to fade, Durante came back.
Yeah, no, a very odd race by him, and probably ran the best race of anybody. But once again, if you had the winner, I congratulate you.
Big balloons with 36-1 shot. Cowan getting the win in the 9th race. We'll bring you prices when we come back. We'll also talk a little bit about some exciting 2-year-olds in just FYI, and Timberlake, who we saw victorious in the Frizette and the Champagne last week. Can they bring their show on the road? Moving on to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile races. More on that after this on America's Day at the Races.
And the stage is set. Bright Work will make Ways and Means work. She is running on strongly. Ways and Means still a length back second. These two are dominating. Bright Work is a superstar.
Now more than ever, it's time to get with the program. When shopping for your next race prospect, consider that New York breds start with an advantage. Our New York breds run for serious green. At Saratoga Race Meet, New York bred maidens run for up to $88,000. New York bred allowance horses run for up to $100,000. And New York bred owners can collect awards of up to $20,000 per horse per race. So get back with the program. Seriously.
We're back on America's Day at the Races, brought to you by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Into the winner's circle in the 9th race goes Cowan at a big, big price, getting the victory under Jose Gomez, who's standing by with Maggie.
A ride that persevered with the long shot. And Jose, talk a little bit about your trip. Obviously, the two horses dueling on the front end, and you were just kind of in a sweet spot throughout.
Yeah, exactly that. I know I had speed horse outside of me, and I was in a good spot the whole way around. And, you know, when the time came, we went up the rail, and he fought to the end.
Oh, talk a little bit about getting on this horse. You've never been on him before. Did Connections give you any sort of instructions?
I mean, he just told me, you know, this horse has a lot of back class. So, I mean, with just that, it kind of gives, and just look at the program, you know, he's been around, you know, and he knows what he's doing, and that just gives me enough confidence, you know, to give him a good trip, and you know, the rest, you know, we did it.
Talk a little bit about getting on those class horses, you know, versus maybe an inexperienced type of runner. What's it like riding them versus the younger horses, or maybe the lower level horses?
Oh, well, these horses, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. You just kind of, you know, Richie always says the pilot and the passenger. You're a passenger on these ones for sure, and they just take you to where they want to be, and when the time comes, you know, they let you know.
Yeah, you read my mind. I was thinking the exact same thing. Well, you were an excellent passenger here at Cowan. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Maggie.
All right, Jose Gomez. I always love the energy he brings to the races, and it pays off big time with this one, Acacia.
Thumbs up from Jose Gomez, riding well, champion apprentice of last year, and continuing to make a name for himself now as a journeyman. $75 winner, Cowan at 36-1, over 9-5 Durante. That was a tough beat if you leaned on Durante at a short price in there.
Yeah, I mean, take nothing away from the winner, and congratulations, and I hope you had him. But Durante, and I didn't like Durante. Durante was best. He ran super. Wow.
Turning our attention to race 10, the final race of the day off the turf. So this one to be run at 1 mile on the main track. It's a New York bred maiden special weight. And the field for the most part really did hold together with this one, as we do see 5-2 right now to the outside on the number 16, Wine Responsibly, who has only ever had one race on the turf, but was entered main track only in this spot.
Yeah, but Linda Rice will often give him a race first time out, and we see her make that turf to dirt move second time out. So I picked the horse, but obviously the public agrees as well. I'm surprised to see the 9 staying in, but the reality of this race was We both were interested in the 9, Acacia and I, because of the pedigree the horse has,
Yeah.
the half to True Lane, and has some real turf pedigree. But there really was nothing to go on in this race on dirt or turf. There's absolutely no form to
Not
speak
a lot
of.
to sink your teeth into, that's for sure. But as far as the 2-year-olds are concerned, we saw some nice 2-year-olds last week in those Breeders' Cup win and you're in races in the Frizette and the Champagne. As far as the Frizette was concerned, oh, look, was on a wet track. But it was just FYI, Andy, for Bill Mott, who remains undefeated as she pulled away from this field.
Yeah, the only thing surprised about her was that she paid 9-2 instead of being the 5-2 or 2-1 she probably should have been. She had run just as well as the 2 horses taking much more money than her first races. She rated. She had projected, I thought, to be more forward, stretching out to a mile, but she rated comfortably for Junior Alvarado. She's a nice horse, and she's got a big win. But right now, she's going to have to get faster because you've got a very good horse out in California named Tamara, who is a daughter of Beholder, who's clearly going to be the favorite, being out in California
Right.
especially. But she ran a huge race in her last race in the
She
Del
has-
Mar
she has
Debutante.
talent, too,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's very, very good. And obviously with the horse who won at Saratoga taking a step back in the Alcibiades. Brightwork taking a step back, Ways and Means on the shelf. That makes it easier. Now, Candide, who won this Alcibiades, she ran a fast race, so she shouldn't be discounted as well. She's going to have to get better, but she's got the Grade 1 win, and it was nice in those back-to-back wins, Grade 1 wins for owner George Kokorian and trainer Bill Mott as well, with Warlike Goddess winning the prior race.
And just FYI, a homebred for George Kokorian, as well as the Frizette has been a very productive race going on to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies.
It's been a great race for a long, long time. I mean, you can go way, way back. Before the Breeders' Cup ruined racing in the fall, there used to be it was a really good race in a lot of ways to decide the championship. You go back to horses like Lakeville Miss, who won the race. She's a dam of a very good horse for Peter Brandt, not Gulch. I think Gulch is Jamila, but it's another one. And it's been a great race for a long, long time, a great history. One of the many races at NYRA that has a great history with champions going way back.
As far as the boys were concerned, we saw them in the spotlight in the Champagne for the 2-year-olds last week as well. And we both had some interest in horses coming out of the Hopeful. And while that was a race that was slow as far as figures were concerned, there were some trips in there. It was won by a long shot, and it proved to be a relatively productive race as we saw Timberlake come out of there and be very impressive to win the Champagne.
Yeah, you wanted horses that were forward in the Hopeful. The reason the race got a slow final time is you had an enormously fast pace being contested by many players in there, and the race just fell apart. And, you know, give all the credit to Nutella Fella winning the race, but the reality was he took advantage of a slow pace, and it was no surprise. Anybody that looks at times knows why the figure was slow. It wasn't wrong. Everybody gave it a low number, but this horse had had a little trouble, had been close to the pace, and he was terrific. General Partner ran very well to be second there, but Timberlake was terrific. And Fierceness, obviously, he had his own issues in the race. He's a better horse than he ran here, but we don't really know who he is at this point.
And after the Champagne, Andy Sterling went home and listened to the full works of Justin Timberlake, which was, I know,
Huge
a really
fan.
big experience
Huge fan,
for you.
Huge fan. Yeah, I'm very, very. I saw a picture of him. Didn't he date Britney Spears a long time ago?
They were married. Yeah.
They were married.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The iconic denim outfits. Going
Really?
out. Yeah.
Wear a lot of denim?
Me?
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah, I'm thinking not a big denim gal.
As we take a look at the...
I think Justin does. Wears a lot of denim these days.
He used to, yeah. He used to also have the frosted tips, you know, with the hair and everything.
Ah, yes,
too.
the look.
So, you know,
I don't
that
have any
was-
hair, so I've heard of that.
That was big. That was big. This week's 2-year-old Horses to Watch is presented by Keeneland Sales. We look forward to seeing how those horses will go on into the Breeders' Cup. One more race to go. It is our Spendthrift Farm 2-year-old race of the day, brought to you by Spendthrift, home of North America's 4-time reigning champion General Sire. Into Mischief, the number 16, Wine Responsibly, the lone main track only in this field, though the field largely held together. Wine Responsibly will get onto the dirt for the first time for Linda Rice, homebred for Chester and Mary Broman. New York bred 2-year-olds in the spotlight. When we come back, stay with us on America's Day at the Races.
The Run Happies are running, the Run Happies are selling, the Run Happies are winning. Eclipse champion Run Happy is showing a new dimension with winners on turf, dirt, and all weather. A record-breaking sprint champion, Run Happy is also showing winners at all distances.
The son of Run Happy. Nutella Fella has won the hopeful.
One happy mama wins the Iowa sorority.
Run Happy, price for value, and standing strong at Claiborne Farm.
On a perfect day, there is no finer place in all of sports.
Nerves, excitement, and anticipation.
Than beautiful, truly stunning. For the Breeders' Cup World Championships.
Respect the law. He's earned it. A Grade 1 winning juvenile.
'Tis the law, pops the cork in the champagne.
A classic winning 3-year-old.
'Tis the law is gonna win the first leg of the Triple Crown.
5 triple-digit buyers.
Respect the law, 'tis the law.
The best son of Red Hot Sire Constitution.
He's left the others behind. He's gonna win the Run Happy Travers.
'Tis the law.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
The world's premier breeding stock event, the November sale at Fasig-Tipton. A graded winner at 2, 3, and 4, Nest broke through with a big score in the Grade 1 Ashland, followed by runner-up efforts in the Kentucky Oaks and Belmont, besting Kentucky Derby winner Rich Strike in the latter. Nest secured champion 3-year-old filly honors that summer with an emphatic victory in the Grade 1 CCA Oaks, demolishing the field by over 12 lengths.
Nest putting in a Grade 1 performance today.
From there, she took the Grade 1 Alabama by over 4 lengths and Grade 2 Beldame by nearly 10 lengths. Overall, Nest has earned over $2.1 million for trainer Todd Fletcher and owners Rapoli Stable, Eclipse Thoroughbred Partners, and Michael House. A daughter of Curlin, Nest is a full sister to Grade 1 winner Idol and half-sister to recent Jockey Club Derby Invitational Stakes winner Lost Ark. She is out of a stakes-winning AP Indy mare Marion Ravenwood that has produced 4 stakes horses. Multiple Grade 1 winner, Eclipse champion, and multi-millionaire Nest selling this November with Highgate Sales agent.
We're back on America's Day at the Races. Acacia Kamani, Andy Sterling, and Maggie Wolfendale. Thanks for keeping us company on this rainy Saturday afternoon. One more race to go. And there is a look at the 16 Wine Responsibly, called by Vino Rosso. For more, let's head down and get a paddock report from Maggie.
We'll start right there. Acacia is number 16, Wine Responsibly. I think we'll all be doing that once we get home tonight. But switches from turf to dirt and... Excuse me. We'll get to you in a moment, Mr. J. Hirsch. But this is the right surface for him. I think he looks much more like a dirt sprinter than anything else here. But we're going long. But that's Vino Rosso on the top. I just wish he looked a bit better. You know, Linda's horses always kind of, you know, look great in their coat, carry great weight, and he is carrying that weight, but he just looks a bit dull in his coat. He can win, but is he a standout? No, not by any means, as we'll take a look at one of the more experienced runners in number 14, Eric from Miami, who gets into this race by virtue of a few scratches. So did up his game while getting to the turf last time out behind BD Saints. I think kind of clunked up for third. He was beaten 8 1/4 lengths, which is a long way on the turf. I'm kind of interested in him on this surface, getting back to the dirt. He looks more like a kind of an off-track horse. I think he wants the distance. This is by far the most fit he has appeared throughout this 2-year-old season so far. I like Eric from Miami. I think he could be all right in this spot. As the first-time starter that I was mentioning, Jay Hirsch, making his first start here, as Andy had pointed out, is that half-brother to Tulane, who went 6 for 14 on the turf, but in the same breath, not this time, is such a versatile stallion. Yes, he's a Giants Causeway, so he can get turf runners, and while Jay Hirsch might be better on the turf, he doesn't look like it's a problem getting to the surface. My problem is the distance, as this goes to a mile, he looks like one that would have been much better suited to starting off shorter, because he's that kind of, not this time, that they're a little bit more shorter, coupled with those really well-developed hindquarters. Now, he was screaming a little bit green to get the tack on, but he's also very sharp. So, Acacia, I think we'll see him, if he breaks well, I think we'll see him forwardly placed in here.
We'll see what he does. Maggie, thank you. First-time starter Jay Hirsch, Biden not this time. And there is, like you and I were saying, Andy, plenty of pedigree on the bottom side to be proficient on the turf. But we'll see how he does staying in. And I think it's very interesting that Graham Motion opts to keep him in and run on the main track.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to read those things, right? Sometimes it says, maybe Graham, he's shipping here anyway. Though obviously he knew the weather, and he's a smart man. He knew there was a good chance this race would not be on the turf. So maybe he thought the horse needed a race.
Right.
Maybe he doesn't love him in general, and he just thinks, why don't I try him in the dirt, see what he can do there, or give me some other options. And, from there, it's so hard to guess. I mean, it's not a bad sign he's staying in, but the question is it necessarily a good sign? Maybe he just looked at the field and said, they're running for 75,000. I might as well take my shot, because frankly, this feels like a good race to be taking a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. Plenty of unknowns. And as far as Tulane was concerned, just wanted to say with him, obviously he was very effective on the turf, but he improved later and with racing. And so maybe it's a case with this guy as well, that Graham thinks it could be the same thing and want to get a race into him. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. There is Hard Par stretching out on the main track. Let's go back to Maggie.
I do want to talk about the two inside runners here, including number 1, Solo Ride for Dave Donk. Now, didn't show much in that turf sprint first time out, but you look at this guy's pedigree, and it is littered with decent and just hard-knocking dirt horses. If you go back a generation, the Dam is Half to Group Think, Happy Sophia, Game Token, all accomplished New York-bred dirt horses. And this guy looks more like a dirt horse to me. He looks sensational. I wasn't in the paddock. Acacia, I know you were for that debut, but solid, well-developed hindquarters. Don't mind the stretch out given the lack of speed in that debut. Kind of has that longer neck and that scopier frame to him. He paints a really nice picture in here today for Dave Donk and Jose Gomez, looking to sweep that late double. As number 2, unaudited, what a difference becoming a gelding has made for this guy. I mean, back on August 18th, he was a scratch. He was trying to breed everyone and everything. He flipped over, and so thus the scratch. And look at him now. Got his head on the ground. It's quite the attitude changer with some of these horses. I don't love him. I don't know how much talent there is with him overall, and probably is a little bit more suited to the turf, though the pedigree would say that switching to this wet surface should be fine. But I just wanted to mention how different he is behaving since becoming a gelding, Acacia.
That's good news, Maggie. Thank you. He needed it, unaudited. And Solo Ride, I was actually in the paddock for his first race. He was very green first time out as well, screaming in the paddock too. And Maggie mentioned some dirt influence on the bottom side of that one. And 2 horses intriguing with racing, who maybe mentally, maybe physically improving. And sometimes with these kinds of races, Andy, you just don't know who's going to be able to handle the conditions.
No, this race is a crapshoot. And while we picked the 16, he's a 5-2 shot. Do you really need 5-2 in a race like this? I think the 2 is a very interesting horse. I had picked him second there. I believe you had him somewhere in there as well. And the gelding thing that Maggie's talking about, there a lot of times some of these geld horses, they're just trying to figure something out. Sure. This might be one where it really matters.
And yeah, sometimes you will see horses who maybe just lack a little bit of focus, or sometimes I think it's usually when you see horses get gelded later in their careers, if they're trying to refine some form that they had, or a horse just kind of stopped trying, or it's kind of a last-ditch effort. Well, let's geld him and see if that makes a difference. But for a horse like this, who had only raced twice, and you see him being accompanied by the pony there in the paddock, and Maggie talked about the late scratch and just how bad he was beforehand, that could really, really help to get the best out of a horse and have them be a little bit more relaxed. So we'll see what that does for Unaudited, who is minding his P's and Q's today at 11-1. But back to Hard Par. I wanted to talk about him because he's 7-2. He's taking a lot of attention.
He is. But he figures to get bet, right? Because they're betting him because he ran the fastest races on the turf. And I don't know. He's the kind of horse I like to bet against in these races. He obviously has talent. I will say, from what we've seen, he has shown the most talent of anybody here. But he was sprinting on the dirt. Now he's going long in an off-the-turf race. Not the kind of horse I'm going to take a short price on. I'd frankly rather take a 16 at 5-2 because it's a Linda Rice type move.
Yeah. We saw Solo Ride go by, who we discussed. There's that new gelding, unaudited.
I think he's very interesting if you're looking for a price. And here's a gelding, and Mike Maker, an off-the-turf race is dangerous.
Here's Albedo stretching out.
He really hasn't done much running, but on the other hand, this is the easiest spot he's been in.
First-time starter, Brown Don't Stop.
Yeah, I'm not taking any money whatsoever. And there's no, I'll say one thing, it's a better dirt pedigree than turf, probably.
It is, actually. There's the 7, Kilcaran.
Probably more turf pedigree overall, though Enticed was a dirt horse this sire.
King Freud went by. Here's Jay Hirsch.
Yeah, we talked about Jay Hirsch. I don't really want this horse on the dirt. It's more of a turf-type pedigree. We'll see.
Special Agent Johnson, first time on the main track.
Staying in, much like the 12 is. It didn't do much running on the turf.
Here's first-time starter, Sweet Tone.
Not taking much money. The connection's really more of a turfy pedigree, if you look at the dam side at least.
Hard par, stretching out.
We already talked about this one. I get it. Horses run well enough that I could see him being used.
And offer a big warm-up. There's Eric from Miami.
Yeah. I didn't think he did any running in his dirt races, to be honest. But in this field, I wouldn't want to completely dismiss him.
Wine responsibly to wrap up the field.
Yeah, well, is it really fun if it's responsible?
I guess it's all in the eye of the beholder, right?
There you go.
You can join Naira Bets today and play all the action on our program and a whole lot more while earning up to a $200 deposit match bonus. Sign up with promo code MATCH200 and you could earn up to a $200 deposit match after your first deposit. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Don't forget to join now at NairaBets.com for your $200 deposit match. Horses hitting the track. Let's head back and check in with Maggie.
Yeah, going to take a look at one of the first-time starters in here, Kilcaran, number 7 for Barclay Tagg. Now, Andy's probably right. Probably wants the turf, but there's some dirt pedigree, as Enticed, one of our freshman sires, has gotten off to a pretty decent start as a sire, winning with 6 of 35. Sometimes that's not accurate as far as being updated, but still it's a good percentage for your first crop, and it feels like they kind of want this middle distance that he's getting here at first asking. And the dam was a grade 3 winner in Argentina on the dirt, and a lot of the siblings have been effective on the main track. And he's a big, scopy, good-looking horse. They kind of had the blanket on him, which I'm a little jealous of. To be fair, it's gotten a little chilly out here. So I didn't get a good look at him until Junior Alvarado got a leg up on him, and he's impressed me and is warming up nicely. He's been really professional, really focused. Is wearing blinkers first time out. I see Barclay do that quite a bit. I don't love it, but he does often run his horses in their debuts with that headgear on, Acacia.
All about what's typical for the trainer. Maggie, thank you. Kilcaran for Barclay Tagg debuting. We'll see how he does first time out. Maggie mentioned the sire Enticed and some of the success that he's had. He was an absolutely beautiful horse himself, and it's always fun getting a chance to see horses you liked on the track and their progeny as they start to debut.
I think he won the Gotham, and was he second to Vino Rosso in the Wood Memorial? There was an inquiry against Vino Rosso, and I believe he was second. He was a nice horse.
He was a beauty.
Yeah.
15-1 on Kilcaran. Junior Alvarado going to be aboard this one. 5-2. The number 16 Wine Responsibly continues to be your favorite. Anybody else that you thought could be a little intriguing? There are some generous prices on there.
Yeah, I wouldn't knock anybody for taking chances with anybody. I think the 2 and 3 are sort of usable in here. I picked the race 16-2-3, so I could see them being usable. Long shots. I mean, the 3 hasn't done much running, but he has been running at least in dirt races against some better horses. So maybe he could do a little running here. He's a big price, but yeah, these are tough races to have big opinions. As the 16 goes up to 3-1, I'm sort of beaten up enough today, so I bet a couple exactas, and I don't need to lose anymore.
And you're going to wine responsibly.
I'd like a 16-2 finish or a 2-16 finish to close the day. That would work.
Red or white?
Me?
Yes.
Red.
Yeah, me too.
More red?
I'm Team Red. I'm not a huge white wine fan, to be.
Me either. Yeah, no.
The two unaudited Dylan Davis will pick up the mount on this one. He had plenty of celebrations to be had yesterday after a 4-win Friday, and some generous prices too.
Yeah.
Harry Hood was a big overlay in that race.
Yeah, he was a crazy price at 9-1 in there. I don't understand. Obviously, the fish fans were not betting.
That's
big
right.
day for Bob Edwards named horses,
Yeah.
right? He was claimed for Bob Edwards, a big fan of fish. Anyone that knows Bob, and that's where he got the name Harry Hood. It's one of their songs, if you're not familiar with the band Fish. And Wally World.
Yep.
Yeah, Wally World ran very well, actually.
Yep. Absolutely did. Loading in for race 10. Coming up, our nightcap Spencer Farm 2-year-old race of the day. New York bred maidens off the turf. In the nightcap, we'll see who handles it. Wine responsibly, the lone main track only. Still your favorite at 5-2. One more time today, we'll send it up to Chris Griffin for the call.
Sweet Tone moves in, hard par. Here is Brown Don't Stop. Horses to the outside. Eric from Miami, Wine Responsibly. There's hard par. Kilkerran. The two to the outside. Eric from Miami, Wine Responsibly. Just working here with the 8 King Freud. Now moves in. There's Eric from Miami and Wine Responsibly, last to load. Is in. All set. And they're off. Good speed to the outside. Good break for Eric from Miami. Also, Wine Responsibly is going to be in that early mix. And there's Special Agent Johnson from In Between Horses. Also joining them is King Freud in the early mix. Losing some ground was Jay Hirsch. Broke on top, but now here crossing over, it's going to be Wine Responsibly who secures the front. Wine Responsibly gets right over to the rail as they come out of the chute. And now into the two-path here is King Freud. Out wider, here comes the run from Eric from Miami to make it 3 across the racetrack. Then in behind them is Unaudited, who's found a nice spot, is tucked into the 4th position, is 5 lengths in front of Under a Dry Sweet Tone, is not making up the ground right now. Then comes Solo Ride, is moving in tandem there with Brown Don't Stop. Further back in the field, we've got Hard Par. Moving forward is Kilkerran from the tail end of the field. There is Jay Hirsch, who's under a full drive and not making up ground. Then comes Special Agent Johnson, who did break with those leaders, but is far, far back. As they work well into the far turn now, it is Wine Responsibly and Eric from Miami. They're a clear 1-2, and they've kicked on. They're now 3.5 lengths clear. Unaudited is all in down towards the inside of King Freud. They're battling on 3rd and 4th. From the back trying to run on, there's Solo Ride, also trying to make a late run. Here comes Albedo from out of the pack with a quarter-mile left to go, though. Wine Responsibly has led throughout. Wine Responsibly kicks away and is up by 2. Eric from Miami is chasing. Albedo is absolutely rolling from the back of the field, but running out of time as they're approaching the final 16th. Wine Responsibly is still in front. Eric from Miami. Albedo continues this run. Might challenge for second, but it's going to be Wine Responsibly to win the finale. There is Albedo, who does get up for second over Eric from Miami. And Brown Don't Stop. Final running time, 1 minute 39.59 seconds.
Wine Responsibly says cheers to this group as Jose Ortiz actually dropped his riding crop, but it didn't matter, Andy. He was the best and in the best position here today.
I think it took us 10 races. We finally had a winner.
I think we got one. We're going out on a high note. Thank you.
2-to-1 shot and off the turf, 20-horse field.
It's been a very long day. We hope that you have wine wherever you are. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow from 2 to 5 p.m. Be sure to check your local listings. It was a thriller as Cowan at a big price got the victory over Durante earlier on today. Thanks for joining us on America's Day at the Races live from the Big A. Good night, everyone. We appreciate you staying with us. We'll see you tomorrow.